Hello, everybody. Welcome to the I'm already messing up. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Mr. Westford Show. I will only talk like this now, so people can't say you don't have the gift of gab. You stammer, you fool. You try doing this Monday through Friday for up to 4 hours. My gosh, my brain is fried. Why am I still here? How are you doing, Mano?
I'm doing good. I know exactly how you feel, man. 4 hours is nuts, though. I've done
Oh
a
yeah,
couple times. It's the worst.
it's the open panels when people just hop on and we're shooting the crap. It's like I feel like I'm always at a low where it's okay. It's I'm at this for 2.5 hours. I'm good to go do some other stuff, and then the conversation gets really good,
Yeah,
and then it's like
yeah,
another topic comes up, and I'm like, oh my
yeah,
gosh, we're at 4 hours.
yeah.
My brain is there's a chicken right here. This is Welma. Let me get her.
There's a chicken right here.
This is
You know
my
what? I
nice
was gonna tell you. I wanted to
dang
do a
chicken.
segment on SOS. I want you to interview your chickens and then send me
Okay.
the footage.
All right, I can do that. This is Welma. She's the only chicken that wants to come in our house. She just sits at the glass door, waiting to be let in, like she's part of us, part of the family. This is Welma.
That's awesome.
Hello.
That's awesome. What does
Say
she do when
something,
she
Welma.
comes in the house?
She gets shooed out because we don't want her to shit on the floor.
That's that
That's it.
sounds
That's
good. Is it-
but she, yeah. Oh, my wife does the best. She's eating the mic. My wife does the best chicken impression. Like there's times I can't tell if it's the chickens or my wife.
That's awesome. That's a good skill to have. I kind of have that, so I know the skills. It's a good skill. It's a good skill.
If anybody wants to help support the channel, maybe you don't want to see me monetarily succeed, so you want to see the chickens more. But if you'd like to not have the chickens interrupt the stream and have the rooster do what he does, then send me a super chat via Cash App, and I'll get that studio built, and we won't be having Wilma hanging out as much. Well, actually, maybe
Well,
Wilma, because she likes to come inside. How you doing, crazy?
how old is she?
Like 2 months, something like that.
Oh, really? They get that big fast, eh?
Oh yeah, like they were just tiny not that long ago.
Oh, how many chickens do you have now?
Well, we
Let's turn
lost.
it to chicken stream.
Yeah, chicken stream. Homesteader Wesley right here. And we had 7 chickens die recently, I think. My mother-in-law forgot to close up shop while my wife and I were out hanging out with some friends. And we woke up in the morning and saw like severed heads and wings and viscera everywhere. So the coyotes got them.
Okay, that'll happen.
And then our favorite rooster, we had 2 roosters. We had a little silky one. He was smaller than Wilma here, like a quarter of the size of our other rooster. He had the biggest personality. His name was Claude.
Yeah.
We thought he was a hen at first, and suddenly one day I'll back up. Huey, the big rooster, was having his way with a hen, and Claude, who is at the time his name was Cloud because we thought it was a girl, ran across the yard, jumps up and double kicks Huey off the hen. He's like, "What the hell?" And then Claude just for the first time lets out his crow. We'd never heard it, and that's when he was renamed Claude instead of Cloud.
I see.
But he died. Yeah,
That
like
was
3
his
weeks
gender.
ago.
That was the gender reveal.
Yeah.
The gender reveal. Yeah, those are important.
Be quiet. Be quiet, Wilma. Be
Because
still.
the chat's blowing up. What's up, everyone? Look at this.
How you doing? Yeah, but pour one out for Claude. He got nabbed by a hawk like 3 weeks ago. My favorite rooster. I would come outside and in the sun, I'd be laying there reading in the grass, and he'd come up and like hang out on my shoulder. He'd do little dances around. He'd try to make you happy. He's just a cool dude.
See, I've never had chickens, so I don't know what it's like.
Oh, this is my first time.
Boy.
This is my first time.
That's awesome, man. Well, that's actually pretty cool. You got the chickens going, you got a farm going, you're getting, homesteading. That's the way to go for sure.
This is a product of the plan that was enacted during 2020 because I saw a lot of stuff. I mean, we all saw stuff on the internet. I saw stuff in person. I saw somebody get assaulted just on the street during the summer of love, and basically put all my like creative ambitions to the side and spent like 2.5 years just I need to be a father I wasn't a father. I need to be a husband and like get crap done. So we got land and we got chickens and I got guns and I learned jujitsu. We have a garden and so we got a lot of there's always work to do here. Always work to do on this property. It's crazy.
Oh, it's awesome. I know what you mean because I ended up in Mexico because of those situations in 2020. So I hear you, man. It was a strange time to be alive. It is a strange time to be alive.
Yes.
Forget about that.
You were talking the other day about the year 2020. Everyone entered a vortex, because
yeah.
2019 feels like a long time ago, but 2020 feels like yesterday.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's I didn't call it a vortex because there are some people out there that actually think legitimately it was a vortex. I'm not one of those people. A lot of people are like
vortex. Right?
Yeah, but I just want to make that distinction because that is a theory that's out there. Like during the whole when they turned on CERN and they created like a rip in time. Yeah,
timeline.
So they're trying to say like the Mandela effect and all that are like are because of CERN. So I don't believe that there's like a time. I think it's more like a from the psychological operatives and everything they've done. Knowing how to like use trauma-based mind control and all that stuff. Parts of what they did during that time frame of 2020, 21, 22 kind of gave us like this bizarre time shift, I call it. So you know what I mean? Like some things that feel like yesterday were like 4 or 5 years ago, and some things that were yesterday feel like, you know what I mean? Like it's just weird. It's just weird.
I definitely don't think we entered a actual vortex, CERN timeline thing.
No.
Like Doc Brown with his lines. I don't think that happened, but maybe it happened with Harambe. I mean, we entered the dark timeline when Harambe died.
Yeah, that's possible.
Pour one out for Claude, pour one out for Harambe. Got to keep that meme alive.
Definitely, we gotta pour one out. Some old English, pour it on the ground. Or is that like is that an outdated reference? Did you get that reference?
The old English? I mean, I get it as just like our gangster friend got popped in the street.
Yeah. You gotta do it.
Yeah, definitely. I said that to somebody. I like pour one out for Claude, and he just like drank it. I'm like, you poured that out for you. That's not pouring out one for your homie.
That's it, man. He's in the ground. Claude's reposed.
Yeah. He fed some hawk. He's probably like, I don't know, 100 yards that way. His bones or something. I don't know.
Those hawks are beasts, man. Like
we didn't even see it happen. It was just my wife let him out free ranging, and like an hour later she checked on him, and just a pile of feathers. Unfortunate.
Yeah. I was walking through the jungle here. That sounds so weird to say. And we're just like on a hike through the jungle, and then you just see a bunch of birds, doing the whole circle thing. I'm like, I wonder what's going on over there. So I was like an idiot. I'm like, let's go find out. we just
in the jungle. What?
Yeah. Because technically, like the setting that I'm in, doing a jungle walk would be the equivalent of kind of doing like a forest walk. If in
it's much
Canada,
more tropical.
It's technically it's a jungle, like literally you're in a jungle. Like the way that they measure a jungle is how much rain it has, the vegetation, how dry it, all that kind of stuff, right? So technically I live in a jungle. So anyways, when you're walking through like the forest, their jungle, you kind of forget you're in Mexico because it kind of looks like a forest, and then you make a turn and then there's crocodiles and there's like some crazy shit. You're like, whoa, okay, yeah, this is in Canada.
You're like in the borderlands where like Brazil and the Amazon and Florida meet somehow.
sort of like all together right here, Florida, Brazil. It's like right here. They're my neighbors. It's amazing. But yeah, they were like, so these hawks were like picking at this crocodile. It was crazy. Like they have balls, man. I don't know. These crocodiles just coming down, swarming this croc. It was great.
Have you heard that you can like put a rubber band on the muzzle of a croc and it won't be able to open?
Yeah, I'm not.
All of its muscles is in snapping. It's not an opening.
Yep, I'm not gonna try that though. But yeah, that's why
that's why I always keep a rubber band on me.
You gotta do it, man.
Yeah,
gotta do it. You never know.
You're in Florida, especially. You don't have at least one rubber band on you. That's like not keeping your knife on you.
Trouble. Oh yeah, that's right. You're in Florida. I keep forgetting.
No, I'm not in Florida.
Oh, you're not.
My mom lives there. Skeptic is asking, do I fish? Not enough. I have fishing stuff. I've gone fishing. I caught salmon like 2 years ago, but it's been like 2 years since I fished. I want to this summer. There's just so much to get done. I have a list of things I have to get done on this property, and we inherited a property from my father-in-law, and it has a lot of stuff to get done. So trying to get all that done before baby comes is the plan, but I'm just gonna be real busy.
When's baby coming?
August 2nd is due date.
Oh, dude, that's not a lot of time. That's not a lot of time.
No. Yeah, and there's lots of projects that will take like 3-4 days of just 10-hour like construction days probably.
I miss that.
I'm looking forward to be done.
I need less screen time and more of that stuff.
Yeah.
But over here, it's the opposite. That's all I was doing in Canada. Now here, it's like screen time. I'm not a screen time kind of guy.
What do you do for like a day job, if you don't mind me asking?
No, I don't mind. Now that I'm in Mexico, we kind of run a little delivery food service thing where like we call it Mano made because in Spanish Mano means hand, so handmade. Mano,
That's awesome.
so it's like Mano made smoked meats and barbecue. We do that, and the three of us run the network stuff and do day trading stuff too, like
Okay.
crypto-y sort of day trading stuff.
So you're like looking to flip things like a normal day trade. You're not going long.
Oh, we have three strategies. One's long-term investments. In between is kind of like to carry us till we get to the investment stage, and then the short term is more trades. So we do all of it.
Slow Boy Whiteboard wants me to talk on the. I thought my strategy for that situation was to pretend it didn't exist. So
TML. What is that? What's a TML?
There's situation? Now that okay. Well, Slow Boy, if you want us to talk about it, then you hop on and give us the goods, because you know
like
about it.
You rub your face.
It's exhausting. It's exhausting. Long short of it, I was just having a chill stream, and it became quite spicy because there was some people that hopped on that had beef with each other. I wasn't even looking at the chat, but there was a guy that I don't even know. He probably he's making videos about how I'm a douchebag or something already, but
really?
I literally I have like no idea what happened or why. He showed up. I thought it was like a good conversation, and then there was this drama happening in front of me, and I was like, I don't care. Can we move on? And then apparently I'm a douchebag. I'm a weak. What he said.
That sounds stupid.
Yeah. Anyways, I don't care. He's already calling me a jerk, whatever. So he left the stream in the private chat. He's like he said, like, no hard feelings, homie. I won't be back though. Something like that. I was like, okay, sure. I don't even know who you are, but the guy who named yes, ignoring it is better. That's enough. That's enough. I don't want to give body to this.
Yeah. It already sounds stupid. I thought it was like some sort of no. I thought it was like some sort of worldwide event or something that happened in the Orthodox world. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? Let's talk about it. I didn't think it was a bunch of people acting like children.
It was. You know what?
I'm starting to see a lot of this. I'm starting to see like because I haven't spent a lot of time on live streams, like even like the last couple of years, even before, like I would just So the last little while that I started doing it myself, I was kind of like, okay, what's going on here? What do people talk about? Usually I'd watch the video after the live stream. I wouldn't actually participate in it. So I'd watch a lot of the stuff, just like a regular video. And then just seeing what goes on in the chats changes the whole dynamic.
Yeah.
So like I did years of like listening to, David Patrick Harry or Jay Dyer and like listening to their live stream after the fact, but not looking at the street, like the chats. And now that I'm a part of the chats, half of them are great. I have to say the Orthodox content stuff is really good, but then the majority of other stuff is just bullshit. And then all of a sudden I see some of the bullshit stuff going into some of the Orthodox chats, and a lot of the nonsense you're talking about. It's just like a bunch of people rambling, screaming things in an echo chamber. Like they're just throwing out their opinions. That's less of, I see less of that in the Orthodox chat. So everyone that's in the chat, I see mostly Ortho chat people. You guys are pretty cool. It's just some of the other ones. I'm just like, so basically they're just like hollering stuff. Like someone's
we've
talking.
Had that here. We had one guy that showed up and just started saying, he was basically a Protestant street preacher, just in the chat, just like saying just nonsense Protestant stuff. Like and we were like, do you want to interact, or you want to like have a conversation? Do you want to hop on and talk to us? And he's like, no, I'm just doing this so future people can come and see the message and hear the gospel. I'm like, you're goofy, dude. What are you talking about? Like, it's goofy.
It's like, I'm pretty sure that's what Jesus meant about going out there and spreading the word. I'm pretty sure that he's nailing it. He's nailing it.
Wow. What do you think about street preachers? Do you guys have street preachers down in Mexico? Is that not really a thing there?
Oh yeah. Here, Toronto is full of them. Versed in street preacher conversations. Even I've had a few conversations myself over the years, even when I wasn't Orthodox. I don't know what to make about the whole thing. Like, actually, that's something that we were talking about here at home. It's a weird thing. It's weird how some of the Protestant stuff, and I don't mean this in an insulting way. I mean, this is like some of the Protestant behavior is really cool. It's good because it's something that's not common in the Orthodox world. Like we've mentioned before, like Bible thumping and the knowledge of like scripture is pretty cool. But then there's some of these other attributes and behaviors that make their way into the Orthodox world that are a little bit confusing. And one of them is street preaching. Like I find it weird. So for me, growing up, not a Protestant and an Orthodox kid, seeing someone on the street screaming and hollering just didn't make sense to me. It's kind of weird. It's very like it's a show. It's like what's the difference between that and like a charismatic preacher? You know what I'm saying? So that was my take before. Now I have seen some people benefit from it. So I don't know exactly how I feel about it, because in some cases, if it's done well, maybe it's a good thing. I don't know. You know what I mean? Does that make
Well, it's
sense?
like when I was here in Leavenworth, Washington, it's kind of like, and that's that. There's a really funny story with that, but maybe I can get into after we talk about the serious thing. But I was walking down the street with my family, and there was a street preacher who was singing like a vacation Bible school kind of song, and then he said like, if you have courage, if your heart's beating, sing with me. And he was like, come on, do you not love Christ? And he's like trying to get people to come, like, and he started like challenging people to like to debate him, like right in the middle of the town square, basically.
Yep.
And I just like wanted to walk up to him, and my wife's like, no, don't make this about you, because it was my mother-in-law's birthday, and I was like, yeah, sorry, I'm the kind of guy that just like walk up and start the conversation.
Yeah,
but
I've done that.
Afterwards, I thought about it, and I was like, well, I can't knock this dude for his courage, and to some degree of having the balls to get up and talk about Jesus in the middle of people. I don't know if I agree with his method in any way. And then while me and my brother-in-law were having this conversation, like with the guy, 100 feet that way, somebody walked by and he's like, that guy's here once a week. He's a Jehovah's Witness. Everybody hates him. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I guess that changes it a little bit, but
yeah, it's weird though, because I find that there's like a version of it online too. Like there's like a lot of that goes back to my whole like live streaming thing, watching live streaming. Some a lot of Christian live streams or just channels in general, it does feel like street preaching online, and then some of it feels like a conversation. I think if it's done in that way, where you're preaching whatever in like a calm and chill way, where you encourage a conversation, like you said, you walk up and talk to them, the way that conversation goes after the introduction of the conversation matters. So like if it's a good, fruitful conversation, then I think it's a good thing, whether it's online or street preaching. But most of the time it's not that. Like there was a guy here like hollering and screaming. He was doing it in Spanish, and he saw my cross. Normally I don't have it out. I have my cross in. And he was like, Catholico, whatever he was saying, Catholic in Spanish. I said, no, not, I was trying to explain to him, that. And
Catholic,
then he
but not Roman.
Right. And then he switched to English. He's like, he spoke English. And then he's like, oh, so you're not, you're Catholic. I'm like, I'm not Catholic. And I was trying to explain it. So he's trying to tell me that I'm Catholic as I'm describing that I'm not Catholic. But he's like, yeah, that's Catholic. I'm like, it's not Catholic, right? So that conversation wasn't good, because he just started like swearing at me and calling me a heretic and all this stuff. I'm like, you know what? I'm out of here. This is so stupid, dude. So anyways,
I think it's interesting, because obviously like we have like some sort. I don't think it's a lot of Protestants will look at like the Book of Acts or epistles and stuff like that in the Bible and try to make it one-to-one. Like, back in the early church, they were just like, hanging out, eating garlic knots for the Eucharist in their house church. That's what they're doing. It's like, probably not. But like there is evangelism, and there's tons of historical evangelism in the Orthodox Church. That's why Christianity is around the world, because it had to have happened. But it's interesting to look back at like Orthodox countries, like what do they do? Because they don't, like, they've been evangelized. They don't have to like go out. But like here in America, it's Orthodoxy is growing huge, but we don't have street preachers. We don't have people, knocking on doors, whatever. I mean, a lot of it's having to do with the internet and people finding it online, the dissemination of the internet information. But
totally.
I can see like engaging with street preachers, or like if I could see my own spiritual father going out and like having icons or talking to people in person if there's like some kind of weird woke rally going on or something like that. I don't think he would shy away from any kind of public opposition, but it's everyone here in my town knows my spiritual father. Like everybody, people who don't know anything about Orthodoxy know him, and he's very prominent in the community here.
Did we freeze? Oh boy,
I don't know. Are you there?
Did my internet freeze?
You did for a second. Are you back?
Hello. Sorry about that. I'm back. It's the whole Mexican thing. I'm seeing a lot of people throwing up about Catholicos. Yes, I'm well aware it's Roman Catholic. In fact, I'm just saying it to everyone that's screaming it in the chat. I'm well aware of that. In fact, my grandfather would be upset with me for even referring to them as Catholic. They do, especially the old school Greeks. They do not call them Catholics. They call them the Papists in Greek. Papi. He would say Latini, like the Latins. So yes, I am well aware, everyone. I know I'm Catholic, but not Roman. I get it. But
yeah, got to make sure we're on the same page. But
for
Slow
sure.
Boy makes a good point that we have processions around the church many different times in the liturgical year. Like, I mean, that's like street exposure. We're not like yelling at people, but that is
to be
us.
clear. To be clear, when I'm talking about street evangelism, I don't have a problem with evangelizing. I don't have a problem with any of that. That is how our church was built, like, you know, and how it grows, especially in the U.S. Where, see, I think that's another thing. Let's make a distinction here. I think that the way things are going in the U.S. in terms of orthodoxy is necessary, and there's a lot of good lessons other people can learn outside of the United States of America and Canada. So let's make that distinction. Number one, it's the culture of the United States and how religion spread in general there, and the Protestant background matters, because how are you going to be, it's easier for you to make connection with a Protestant if you use Protestant methods,
right,
to get them comfortable to something Orthodox. I don't find any issue with that, right? But what I'm referring to evangelism on the street, to answer the question you asked me originally, I looked at it more as like that guy hollering, like you were describing, just screaming at everybody, and he's almost like doing it in a way where he's condemning people, right? I don't think that's very effective. But in the Orthodox way, like I've seen many American Orthodox, excuse me, going to abortion clinics and that, and outside of it, that's great. I think that is very necessary. I think that's remarkable. You know, and I think you can evangelize without jamming it down people's throats, without making it a show. The show is an issue to me a bit. I'm struggling myself right now in conversations we've had about how do you tackle making music that's Orthodox based, or jokes that are Orthodox based, or anything that's Orthodox based. Like, where's the line? There's got to be a line. So I think evangelizing is similar in that sense. So I think it was Slow Boy that mentioned something about some sort of version of vanity. I agree. Like, a lot of times people are out there hollering so that they make themselves feel better, you know, like they're doing something.
Right. And in my own life, I've never really done that cold turkey evangelism, street preaching stuff. But I mean, I don't really I honestly don't really pay attention if my cross is out or not. But there's been times it is, and people like mention it, or I'll even have conversations. A strange thing, I had a conversation with the lady at the ticket booth of a theater walking out of seeing Dune 2. There was a poster for some movie about Jesus, but it was like super weird and woke or something on it. And I was just staring at it, and then she mentioned it, and we had a conversation. And she was Protestant, but she became Roman Catholic because something weird, like her husband was, something like that. Oh no, I think it was that she said she was communing at the Roman Catholic Church all the time, even though she was Protestant, and she was scandalizing people. So she got chrismated there, confirmed there. Because apparently I guess Roman Catholics have open communion. I don't really know, but
yeah, it's weird.
We started having, I brought up Orthodoxy a little bit, and I quoted like Saint Seraphim of Upsarov about, you know, if you acquire the Holy Spirit, then thousands around you will be saved. And that different perspective than the Wilma is attacking me, than the street preaching stuff. And it just kind of, I don't know if that will go anywhere. I wasn't trying to be like, convert now, or let's talk about this instead. It was just a random conversation with a lady as I got done with a movie.
No, I think those are very, very fruitful.
That's crazy.
Communion before confirmation. Yeah, Roman Catholics do that. Yeah, they do.
And they don't even commune their babies anymore, which is strange.
No, they have a few weird things, because my nephew, wife lady thing, was Roman Catholic. So when I went and experienced it, like, they even do that weird thing where, I don't know, what do they call it, confirmation or whatever, like that. We don't do any of that. I remember when I first heard of the concept, I was like confused. I'm like, what do you mean you're confirming what? And then at first sight, it makes sense. Like, you're like, well, when you're a kid, you can't speak for yourself, so you do it later. But then when I guess it's like woke ideals, where they kind of make sense when you first hear them, but then when you break it down, it's like nonsense. Who's this? Is this Wilma again?
It's Wilma. She's pecking my knee.
Oh man, you gotta pick her nose. Would you do that? Would you pick her nose on camera?
I mean, I could try. Let me hold her with one hand and use my camera.
Noses? Yeah,
she's pecking me.
She's like, screw that Mano, dude.
What were we saying?
We were just jabbering about jabbering. That's like,
yeah. I think there was something I was going to bring up, but yeah, she distracted me with her knees. I'll go back to being at Leavenworth with my mother-in-law and seeing that street preacher.
Oh yeah,
I got super high on that trip. I didn't mean to. So I was working the sales job, where it was a direct credit card processor. So I'm going to small businesses and seeing what their terminals are, the credit card terminals are. And we have a program for CBD shops. And I went into the CBD shop and started talking to the guy there. It was like the owner's son. And I'm having a conversation with him, asking about the business and who they go through. And he doesn't really have a lot of answers. And I like to patronize. I like to be a patron of the business I'm calling on. So I was like, CBD lemonade. This won't get me high or nothing, right? No THC. He's like, nah, man, you're good. And I buy it and I'm talking to him and I walk out and I start drinking it. And like 2 hours go by. My wife's like, are you okay? I'm like, what? And she looked at it. It was like 10 servings, 150 mil. What? Yeah, I got so high. I don't know if you know what Leavenworth is in
No,
Washington.
No, what is it?
So it's a town that's like a Bulgarian kind of town. It looks like everything's German. All of the houses have that aesthetic, like an old German town. She made me bleed somehow. Everything looks like a set in like an old German town, and people have like the lederhosens, and it's kind of like almost Disneyland-esque. And we were on a walk, and I was super high off my ass, and I started seeing signs everywhere that it was like the movie Hot Fuzz, that this town was fake. Everything was propped up and feds were watching us. There's cameras everywhere, and that I had to be cool or I was going to get nabbed and put into a van. Cause we're walking on this little bridge over a little river, and there's a big hole in the bars, and there's just a piece of plywood over it. And there's a bunch of graffiti, like our tax dollars at work. This town is fake. Everyone was kicked out in 2020. I'm sitting there going, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. We're gonna disappear. I started saying my theory out loud to everybody that around me, like this, like it's a fake town. And I was like, shut up immediately. Just like looking for cameras. I was looking for cameras.
Like the Truman Show.
Yeah. And then they bought me a burger, and that preoccupied me for a good half hour. And I was going to drive home, but they wouldn't let me. And I was like laying down, and every like 30 seconds, I'm like, never mind. Just.
Did you used to smoke a lot of weed, right? I think you mentioned that before.
For like 8 months, something like that. I mean, I did LSD was my gateway drug. And then
really, you did LSD first before you smoked weed?
I'd never smoked a cigarette, never done a single drug.
You went right for LSD. Yeah. That's all right. That's all right. That's brave,
I was listening to a Protestant podcast called the Bad Christian Podcast, and they had somebody on there being like, microdosing LSD makes you more empathetic and loving. It brings down your negative emotions like anger and bitterness. And I was like, that sounds dope. So I asked a friend of mine who I knew did LSD, and I was like, can I get some? And I tried a little bit, and like 2 hours went by. I was like, I'm not feeling any of that. I don't feel a love of the universe wrapping around me. So I took the whole thing. Like 2 hours later, I called him like, help.
Of course you did. Of course.
And then he showed up at my house and like walked me through it.
Oh yeah,
it was just like the windows were all swirly and everything.
Oh yeah. I did a lot of mushrooms, so I know.
We went on a walk, and I was walking by these apartments where like it just looked like it was copy and paste every 10 feet.
Yep.
And we're walking, and I kept looking like, oh my God, I felt like we've been walking for an hour. And we're like, you keep saying that every 3 seconds, dude.
Have you ever tried mushrooms?
No, I have not.
Yeah, I preferred mushrooms. I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to push them on anyone, but yeah.
So you're saying that we should all do mushrooms, huh?
Everyone should do mushrooms. I mean, why the hell not, right? No, but like LSD is like more jagged. I found it more like it did feel more synthetic, but shrooms were trippy. I did 15 grams, which is considered a lot for those that don't know, like a lot. It's the same amount that Mark from Light of Tabor, when he tells his story about tripping balls. Can I say that? I did say that. So anyways, I did 15 grams. It was crazy. It's crazy. I apologize for saying the BALs in reference to male genitalia. My apologies.
You tripped Randy Balls. You tripped Randy
Balls. Absolutely, man. 15 grams is intense, dude. It was crazy. Kids. Don't do it. Actually, it's probably don't do it. I'm actually talking about it with Father Turbo right now. I'm wondering if I picked up a carrier, if that makes any sense. I don't want to just say a demonic sort of thing, but something's been feels like it's been with me since that. Not gonna lie.
Yeah,
So I don't know if that's my imagination or what.
I had a decently pleasant experience on LSD. Didn't have any bad times. It was just I couldn't go to sleep. Well, I didn't go to sleep at all that night.
Oh, for sure.
And then like 2 or 3 weeks later, I was with friends and we are like listening to music and playing video games, and they were all smoking weed, and I had never done it before. And they were like, "Do you want any?" Because they would throughout high school, people always offered me. I just always said no.
Wait a minute. You did the one time I was like,
night? No. This was like 3 weeks later or something.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I didn't hear that. Yeah. Go ahead. It
was like another 3 weeks after LSD. I'm hanging out with friends, and they're all smoking weed, but me. We're playing video games, watching music, listening to music, playing video games, whatever, hanging out.
Yeah.
Ugh. 5 days a week streaming is doing something to me. And
it does.
They passed the blunt around, and they're like, "You want some?" All of high school, thousands of times people offer me weed. I say no. This is the one time I just go, and just grab it. And then after that, I smoked quite a bit. Like I mean, quite a bit is probably different than other people's quite a bit, but for me, it was like 3-4 times a week. Sometimes, like on the weekend. Yes, definitely. She is pecking my feet. Get out of here, Wilma.
She doesn't want you doing drugs, dude.
Channel.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Stop talking about it. Even giving it body. If y'all want to support the channel, please send a super chat via Cash App so I can stop having Wilma bite my feet, peck at my feet.
Oh, also, I for those that don't know, I invited our man Mr. Westford onto the live stream tonight. I'm probably going to do a random live stream, so join us there too.
You want to go ahead and share your channel?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to do a plug-in. That's not what I was trying to do. My apologies. It's your show, brother. That's
do it. I'm getting attacked.
Yeah. The study of stuff. YouTube, hit me up on the study of stuff. Go there. Do that thing. Go to our Patreon.
It's in the description. She's getting me.
She's getting me.
I don't know why. She's never attacked me like this.
She's jealous, dude. She's jealous.
Give me the weed.
Give me the weed.
So
yeah, drugs are weird,
after that, I had at least 2 or 3 like bad times smoking weed. I would get like lost in my thoughts. Like I'd be hanging out or listening to music, and it was like my friends could see me like turn off, and I was just like in a dark hole of my thoughts, and I couldn't get out.
Yeah, those are tricky. I do like weed. Now that I've gone back to the Orthodox thing, I've been avoiding it a lot, almost completely. But I do like weed. I do like weed. Unfortunately,
I mean, I've had bad experiences with it, but I mean, I had times where it's just like music sounded cool. But I had a time where I had smoked weed, and I legitimately believe that I had a demonic force oppressing me. Like,
yeah, well, that's what I was so yeah. Weed and I have a love-hate relationship. It doesn't make me a good person. It just makes me super lazy and like whatever. So and the it does affect my it does affect me in terms of orthodoxy for sure. Like I'm less inclined to live an orthodox life, so I avoid it almost completely. And when I say almost completely, I'm not cured. Like I look at it always like I'm always addicted. So I'm not one of those that don't think that you can't get addicted to it. You most definitely can get addicted to it. And for me, I don't smoke. I didn't smoke like a pothead. A pothead growing up where I grew up was like 3 or 4 times a day. I would just have a small one at night. That's all. But back to the mushrooms. I never had a bad experience on shrooms, but when I did the 15 grams, it was like the trippiest experience to this day. I think about it, and I'm like, I'm not really sure what happened because it felt like time stopped. Literally, I had a time stopping experience that was so strange.
I had something like that. Yeah,
it was not like we're at this festival. My band was playing. We were done playing, and there's a bunch of bands playing on stage, and they were trying to call me up, and I couldn't go. I was too freaking high. But I stood in front of the stage, watching the stage, and everything froze, but the music kept going. So then I started thinking in my head, I'm like, wait a minute, everything's frozen. Like literally, all my friends are frozen, like on spot. But the music kept going, and then my conscious mind was thinking, wait, if the music's still going, that means time is still moving, but everything is paused. So it was like this weird moment. Anyways, long story short, I went into my tent to go just get away from everyone. It was a trippy evening. It wasn't horrible. But then I woke up the next day, felt whatever. But since that day, so this is the point I'm getting at to bring it back to orthodoxy. Since that day, whenever I get closer and closer to Christ, the more I feel something. And like like I was telling Father Turbo, whatever the reverse, like prowess is spiritual delusion. So there can also be the reverse. I don't know what you would call that, where you think everything's the devil, you think everything's a demon, but it's your own self being a jerk, right? Whatever that is. I'll call that an emotional version of prowess, just because I don't have the words to describe it. So I'm being careful when I tell him, I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm just making up stuff for me being a jerk, but it does feel like there's a presence since that day. And why I say that, and I make reference to that day, because it feels the same. Like, when you're like, you know, the feeling of a friend or a foe, they have like a vibe. If you want to be like all new age, it's like a vibe. They have like a certain vibe, and it feels like this particular vibe always is around sometimes. So I have this feel, and so Father Turbo didn't discount it. Maybe I shouldn't be talking about these. Okay, when I was talking to my spiritual father, whatever, he didn't discount it. He kind of like said, no, that's definitely possible. And honestly, so anyone that's out there listening to this, that's one of the biggest reasons I would not ever touch psychedelics again. Weed in general as well. It does open up a signal on a radio station, and you don't know who jumps in.
Right.
But it does feel like something's there. To this day, I still feel something is there.
Yeah, Nectarios in the chat's making good points. The church warns about drugs for the reason that hallucinogenics open you up to the spiritual realm, and especially open you up for a demonic attack.
Yep.
I haven't done any drugs like that since like 2018, so it's been a while. But
yeah,
I mean, I take like CBD for like shoulder pain sometimes, especially when I was doing jujitsu all the time. I'd use it for recovery, but that didn't get me high.
No, that's fine. That's fine. The Father's Spirit and Bailey has a really good video about cannabis and warns against it for very good reasons. You know what? It was part of my conversation with Father John Valadez after reading a lot of the Unseen Warfare stuff. I think there's like a good point that's made in Unseen Warfare where it's gluttony is the entry point for all sin. I'm totally paraphrasing, so I apologize for everyone that's like, and then kind of experiencing that through a fast, you can feel it. It's like the first thing you start freaking open up the fridge too. Yes,
as we demonic realm, it opens up the fridge.
It does.
Yeah, gluttony. Yeah,
it does gluttony, and it's true because even how it's put about like the very first sin was created over eating, gluttony, the fruit in the Garden of Eden, right? And if you take that,
didn't follow the fast.
Exactly. So it's like this weird thing where it opens up a door and you just can't close it. You're like, I'm already eating pizza, and then 5 minutes later, you're smoking a joint, drinking a bottle of Jack, smoking a pack of cigarettes, that kind of thing. So yeah.
Father Turbo on the Royal Path was recently talking about like a spiritual daughter of his, or somebody he knew or something, who was into yoga. They were Orthodox, but they getting into yoga, and they said that the meditative trance they'd get into, they'd be able to see like a radiant light in the room with them, and they assumed that it was the uncreated light. And Father Turbo was saying that a problem a lot of nominalist, materialist, like Protestants would say that's not real. You're not having a real experience. That's not it's all delusion. He's like, well, no, something is happening there, and denying that's only going to make her more curious or want to go into it or prove it wrong. But Father Turbo's thoughts were that light was her own soul. She was seeing part of her own self, and it was like a self-worship happening because she was ascribing the light of her own soul to God. And I mean, also all this stuff, all this like hallucinogenics, all that stuff is basically just trying to cut out the path of the spiritual life and just get to the finish line anyways. By you take this drug and then you're into the spirit realm instead of doing the hard work of cleaning up your noose.
Exactly. And like all new agey stuff, whatever way you want to take it, is a version of Luciferianism. I've experienced that same light that he was talking about. I listened to the same episode as the last one that they did on Royal Path. I've experienced that exact same light. I know exactly what she's talking about when you go into deep meditation. And it's confusing because when you're in like the new age, you'd be like, my higher self. Even in those cases,
higher frequencies,
it's still you. It's still you. You're always worship. It's self-worship at every angle. It's always self-worship at every angle. I like studying stuff. I like studying stuff too. That's
why is your podcast called Studying Stuff?
Study of stuff. Well, I started it 15 years ago, 12 years ago, something like that. My intention was to study stuff. It was just things I was into. Many of the things we're talking about now at that time, I went back and I watched the first video the other day. It's like, consciousness, psychology, spirituality, hermeticism, philosophy, all that stuff. And it's like physics, which is why I was rambling off about physics last time. I was into all of this stuff. So what is it? It's all stuff. So I was like just studying stuff. So it could be any one of those things at that time. And then who would have known what it turned into now? If you told me back then that I'd be podcasting about Orthodox content and have icons behind me, I'm like, get out of here. You ever know? Because I went back and I saw that first video and I was like, what if I was talking to that guy today? Because like tonight on the live stream, I think I'm going to do a breakdown of my first solo album, not to make it all about myself, but to critique my spirituality differences, how I viewed things then, lyrically and musically, and how I see it now. So when I saw that first video, and I'm like, if I could go back and talk to that dude and say, you know what's going to happen 15 years from now? You're going to be like talking about orthodoxy and St. Paisios, and you're going to have priests on your show. I'm like, get out of here, dude. What are you talking about? It's so weird.
And that was back when you're in your occultic, like hermeticism stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I was deep into that up until about even 2020 for sure. 2020, I was even like educating people in that regard. Many of the dude, the way my podcast goes now versus how it would have been if I had carried on is very different. Even the way I talk a lot like, I speak a lot less matter of fact now than I would have before. Before I would have spoken like I knew what I was talking about, cocky, this and that. That's changed. So yeah, I would say 2020 is when I walked away from that or started to rethink of it. So yeah, back then, 15 years ago, it was the beginning of me trying to explore where this goes.
What was the thing that drew you towards the occult and the hermeticism? How did that start? What was the pull?
Consciousness. A lot of people that get into like the alternative fringy stuff, especially in the early 2000s, it was either mostly for males was conspiracy and all that stuff, and then they end up in the occult. They would start there and then kind of move their way towards the occult, like the whole, Jordan Maxwell, Michael Tessarian train, if you know who those guys are. I ended up in studying that stuff because I was always interested in consciousness since I could remember. And I think it's in my very first video ever. Since I can remember, my dad would always say it too. That was always one of my very first questions. What is that thing that stares at me in the mirror when I stare in the mirror? That was always my thing. So I got into that stuff through consciousness, studying consciousness. And eventually it led me into Hermeticism because it did have some answers that now I don't view as answers. I was going to grab the book, but it doesn't matter. But yeah, that's why. That's how I got into it.
What do you think about self-talk? Like, what is that about? Like, how can I talk to myself and do that? Because like, I'm never meaner to anybody than myself. Like, if I remember there was one time I was on a backpacking trip, and I had the nearest water source was like 1.5 miles away from the camp down the mountain, and I had to come back up the mountain. And the thing I was carrying, I slipped, and all the water fell. The like couple gallons I was carrying up the mountain, I had to go back down. And I was so exhausted. It was like the end of a hiking day. I'm just like screaming curse words at myself, calling myself the worst names so I could get myself to go back up the mountain. So that's me. That's how I get things done. But what is the self-talk thing? How can I talk to myself? Isn't that weird?
No, it's not weird at all. Well, I think there's, as an Orthodox Christian now, I would say that there's two ways of looking at it. Before I would have just said one. You could self-talk. Okay, so just give me a second here to get this out. Going back to like the meditation, psychedelics, smoking weed thing, you open yourself up, right? And even meditation, definitely meditation and yoga. I've experienced all of those, and I've experienced like stuff that when you read in like books, they'll say like, and the end result will be this light and blah blah blah. I've experienced all of those things. So when you're opening yourself up to all those things, if you're not prepared and ready, and you're not trained, and your noose isn't clear, and your heart isn't clean, if you don't have those things intact, and you don't have like grounding in the proper view of Christ, and I'm just going to say it that way, the proper view of Christ, not the Protestant version or the Roman Catholic version, the proper view. If you don't have that grounding, you open up yourself to demonic and entities to enter. We can accept that. Self-talk and certain thoughts are not that far off from that same path. So oftentimes you'll hear like even priests talking about it. Father Turbo even mentioned it when he was on my podcast, where like a monk will be standing at the end of a cliff and somebody will say, jump, just jump. David Patrick Harry's mentioned that too, right? Those thoughts are legitimate thoughts that are not yours. It's hard to distinguish which thought is yours and which one isn't. But the more you have self-talk, so let me tread lightly here. I think you should have self-talk. This is just my opinion. I think you should have self-talk so that you can become aware of which voice is talking to you. Don't take everything you hear in self-talk seriously, but experiment with it and know the feeling. And if it's the feeling where it's you actually talking to yourself, that's one thing versus something else talking to you. But when you start to self-talk, it's like auto writing. It's like a common thing in the new agey sort of circles. Automatic writing, where you just
or like channeling.
It is a form of channeling. It is.
Yeah.
I was very good at channeling and that type of stuff. I don't talk about it a lot. Actually, I've had one of the best mediums of all time on my channel, and I've gone to a lot of his stuff, and I've experienced this firsthand. It's legit. A lot of bullshit, but the very few ones that are legit, it's scary. So when you do auto writing or journaling, you are doing that. You're channeling. When you do self-talk, it's a form of the same thing. So it's like a stream of consciousness when you start running thoughts in your mind, or if you're a musician. So you kind of come up with an idea for a song in your head, right? Mm-hmm. Or lyrics. And all of a sudden, if you're doing it in a particular way, you go into a trance state where all of a sudden something is writing for you. Every musician has experienced that. It's similar to the feeling when you see a bunch of geese, or like birds flying, and then all of a sudden they all move together, and fish, they kind of move together. They have one mind. Well, when you're doing self-talk or writing a song, you're connecting your mind to something else. So to answer your question, I think you have to be careful. Sometimes the self-talk that you have is for you to kind of like speak to yourself and know yourself, but you also open yourself up for something else that's not you to whisper certain things in your mind, and you got to be careful with that. So I think how you use it as a tool matters. And if you have grounding in Jesus Christ, in our church, saying the Jesus prayer before you do something like that might be a good idea. Tuning yourself in that sense is a good idea. So when in doubt, that's what I do. I just Jesus prayer it.
Do you think that that idea of self-talk or being able to talk to yourself? I mean, somebody in the chat said, who was it? Somebody in the chat said, the self-talk isn't that just like your internal monologue?
It can be. But that's my point, is that you have your internal monologue, right? So if we're just talking about from that point of view, well, your internal monologue, as they say, it's very cliche to say now, is where you have your limiting beliefs. Before, that was a cliche term to just throw around. It actually had meaning. And that means is like, you're a loser, you're a jerk, you can't do this.
That's right? What I do to myself all the time.
Right. And then you check yourself on that, right? But what I'm trying to say is self-talk, because I was trying to bring it into the Orthodox perspective. Yeah, you got to check that. You got to find ways around that. And then the problem with self-help and new agey stuff, which is why I'm avoiding saying that stuff works. I've done it, like the Napoleon Hill Think and Grow Rich methods and all of those. I've done them all. I have a lot of experience in that subject, and they do work. My warning is that if you're not clear as to who's talking to you, who's helping you, because I've had that help. Like I've manifested many crazy things.
Like law of attraction stuff, The Secret. Probably less gay than The Secret.
Going back to this book that I was referencing on my live stream, The Secret of the Source. In this book, it came out right after The Secret exploded, and it was kind of like The Secret is like a dumbed down, watered down. The Secret is like the Protestant version of in the world. Like if you were to compare to something, that would be like the Protestant version of the occult. You'd have
The Secret's not the one. There's one like there's a Protestant one that's about channeling. Can't remember what it's called. It's
what's her name? Abraham Hicks.
Yeah, it's a lady. She wrote a book about like you write down stuff like pretend, like tell yourself it's like Jesus writing, and Jesus is writing you a note or something like that.
There's a huge connection between the Protestant movements of especially the early 1900s, a lot of like the evangelical stuff, the charismatic stuff. There's a direct connection and correlation between that and the New Age. Absolutely. It's actually called the prosperity gospel. So like guys like, what's that dude you guys have there in the States, the super mega church guy, or
Kenneth Copeland?
Well, that guy too, but the other guy,
Joel Osteen?
Yes, Joel Osteen. He uses prosperity consciousness talk a lot. It's even in this book. They have a whole chapter on prosperity consciousness. This is like the good breakdown of where all the stuff comes from the New Age, going all the way to the occult, to Hermeticism, Gnosticism, and it goes right to like mesmerism and all that. So there is a Protestant version of the law of attraction, and that's usually the prosperity gospel type stuff. Donald Trump his father was a big fan of Neil something, I forgot his name, and this stuff's prevalent. That's kind of the point I'm making, is that the secret is that watered down, dumbed down version of real occult work. So it's kind of like the cartoon version of the real occult, right?
It's
So
like
as
it's the dolled up Disney form of it.
exactly, it's the easy to digest version, which is why women loved it in the beginning, and then men kind of caught on to it later. But if you go back and you read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, that was written in the 50s.
I've read it, yeah.
Yeah, so Napoleon Hill, that all that stuff, there's nothing very different from that, right? So Hermeticism has 7 principles, one of which is now called the law of attraction. So to go back to like the internal dialogue, that stuff does work. Self-help stuff does work, but who are you worshiping matters. Okay, it matters. Like, okay, we were all watching Jim Bob going off about Wes. The stuff that Wes is talking about, it's not that stuff that doesn't work. It's not that stuff's not legit. It's just that it's a dumbed down candy version of getting stuff. Like, get out there and get your cars, get your bitches and all that stuff. But who are you worshiping? Right? So when you do the self-talk stuff, it's a similar sort of thing where you can get yourself to stop having limiting beliefs and all that stuff. But what's the end goal? Because as a Christian, our goal isn't to live comfortable. My goal isn't to live comfortable. Yours isn't to live comfortable. It's theosis. It's not even to make it to heaven. Like, I was listening, these aren't my words. I was listening to a couple of priests' homilies, and I was like, this was kept coming up, and I was listening to some in Greek, and it got me thinking. The goal isn't to just go to heaven. The goal is theosis, because heaven comes through theosis automatically. But your goal is to get as close as possible to the most pure and perfect human that existed in the divine.
I'm trying to become fully human.
Exactly. So in the process, if you're trying to manifest or self-improve yourself or fix yourself, your inner dialogue to achieve goals that doesn't get you closer to theosis, I think God, if he knows that you really want to make a go of this, will put things in your way. Like, I'm seeing that right now. I'm seeing that my life is really in a bad place right now, but in some places it's in a really good place. It's like the stuff that I'm doing online with you guys. And I love that I look at this as a community. Like, everyone in the chat, like, I know these people without knowing these people. Like, I know you without knowing you. That's pretty sweet.
But yeah, orthodoxy is such a potent binder of people. I mean, like, if I meet somebody I know they're Orthodox, it's like we have so much that we can talk about and that we're going to understand about each other immediately.
Exactly. So like the self-talk, yeah, I'm all over the place. I enjoy these random conversations. By the way,
right. Like, how does the self-talk? Is it the same like New Age stuff? If somebody, let's just say, let's give it like a specific variable at first. So let's say my wife says, "Hey, you shouldn't interrupt people so much. Like, why do you do that?" And I ask myself, do I do that? Why do I do that? And then I start to question myself. It's like, it doesn't have to be somebody else doing that, but is questioning yourself and trying to reevaluate yourself, is that somehow related to the self-talk, or is that totally different?
No, I think that's a good thing. That's a good type of self-talk. So my point isn't that self-talk is bad. My point isn't that drinking wine is bad. It's how you view it, how you use it, that is bad or good.
Right.
So if you're not grounded in like in the proper faith, and you don't have that foundation, when you're self-talking, like let's say you're self-talking in that example you just gave, and all of a sudden you started thinking some crazy ass shit. What's going on? Streaming with Wes? What did she say?
He's saying you streaming with me is your rock bottom. You can only go up from here. Moldy is very mean to me.
I thought she meant like Wes, the dude that Jim Bob was going on. I was like,
I mean,
am I being compared to that guy?
No. I mean, you get pretty rich, ripped, and rare if you're streaming with him. But
absolutely,
if you you finish your thought, and then maybe we'll talk about Wes some more.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, that self-talk, it's not that self-talk is bad, but if you don't have that foundation, that grounding, if you're like in that example you gave, if you started thinking some bullshit, if you started thinking some crap and started going off on a negative tangent, all of a sudden you're like, is this Christian?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm even seeing a lot of Protestant converts going, is that Protestant? Right. And I think that's the difference, right? The difference is when you have that, like, I find myself correcting, like I said before, correcting my swearing and all that stuff. I'm not doing it because I'm like, I don't know, something happened, something changed in my mind. And as my thought is going into that swearing area, there's something in there going, no, you're not going to do that. And you know what I mean? So I think if you have that grounding and you're doing self-talk, even if you go and veer off into like the wrong side of the self-talk, and all of a sudden other thing, your faith will come into the picture and stop it. That's what I think. So I don't think it's necessarily bad or good. I just think that it's important to have a clear understanding of what thinking is, who is the one thinking, and watch yourself thinking. I think it's important. If I was to sum it up, watch yourself thinking. So I used to give a lot of like courses and stuff, or give lectures about like how to meditate and all that stuff. It may not seem like it nowadays because I've changed the way I talk. I've changed. But I used to, some of the things I used to teach maybe are a good idea to bring back with an Orthodox perspective. And one thing I would always do, it was an experiment I would give to people, and or an activity I would give to people, and something I did all day long. I would watch my thoughts in third person. I would watch my conversations in third person. So right now I could see you looking at me. If we were face to face, I'd carry on the conversation as if there's no interruption. But instead of looking at it from this point of view, I'd put myself over here on the other side, and I'd watch myself talking to you. And I would like kind of just watch my mannerisms, yours. And I do that with my own thinking. And when you do that, you separate yourself from your thought. So you take your thought and yourself and you separate them. And then you watch the thought and you ask yourself, who's watching this thought?
They're both you, right? It'd have to be both you.
They are,
like you're splitting yourself.
Right. But the perspective is what matters. So this is why you asked me how I got into Hermeticism and stuff. I always adored this thinking from when I was younger. So I used to do this exercise in meditation. So let's have Christ present when I say this. So if I say anything wrong, I apologize. I used to get someone to do this. So just give me 2 seconds, and everyone in the group, try this too. So in your mind, think of yourself walking into whatever you consider your bathroom. Walk into that bathroom and just picture yourself walking into that bathroom. Now, walk towards the faucet. Put your hand on the faucet of the sink. Turn the faucet on and hear the water pouring in your mind's eye. Just hear it pouring. Look at yourself in the mirror, and then grab that water and splash it on your face, and then grab a towel next to you and dry your face. If you were able to do that, it's kind of hard over live stream. Ask yourself, who's the one watching you watching you? So there's something watching you in your mind, watching yourself in your mind's eye, watching yourself look at yourself in the mirror. Right? You know what I'm saying?
I did that with you. It was funny because my master bathroom, it's like the toilet and the shower and the tub are behind one door, and then there's the sink and then another door. So I went into the door with the shower and like, now get over to the sink. I was like, in my mind, I had to turn around and go back out and go to the sink.
Right. But the way you're doing that, so to the confusion, all I was trying to say was, in your mind's eye, if you picture yourself doing stuff, who's the one staring?
So you're trying to ask, what is the imagination?
Yeah, but then also when you apply it to God, right? So I would, if that had worked well, which it didn't, but if it had worked well, I would have stepped it out. I would have stepped it out and said, like, that consciousness, right? If you define consciousness as the awareness of being aware, look in the mirror, show yourself your tummy. Exactly. You have to look at your tummy, and if it's shaved properly, you can see your reflection when you put soap bubbles on it.
Look in the mirror, see the most ripped, rare version of yourself screaming at you.
Yes.
You are not the high frequency version of yourself you should be.
Exactly. So I went off to weirdo land there. Everyone's talking about the mirrors. Bloody Mary.
I think to sum it up, a lot of this could be brought back, like with all the self-talk, can be brought back to nepsis, the Orthodox idea of watchfulness. Watch your mind, watch your thoughts, examine yourself. I mean, that's confession. It's self-examination, examining your conscience. So
exactly.
Like you said, it's not the self-talk or even like the mechanism of the secret, or even like self-worship, like narcissism. Narcissus looking in the pond and seeing his reflection and having that feeling of adoration, worship, love. Those things aren't wrong. They're just directed at the wrong object. Like, that's a problem with like the materialist mindset is, oh, all that's wrong or all that's fake or it's not real. Right. It's like,
right.
Or that form or worship in that liturgical incarnational form is wrong. It's like, well, no, it's just the wrong object. That's where it can be interesting how like a Protestant tradition can be less understanding of like an Orthodox liturgy and what's happening there in the worship. I have this idea that a lot of Protestants will be iconoclastic and look at icons as idolatry because they have this flattened out view of veneration and worship. To them, all they really have is veneration. They have like, we're going to sing to you and sing your praises, but they don't have worship. They don't have the communion. You're not eating with God. You're not communing with him. So they look at veneration and they go, oh, that's like our worship. But to us, there's worship and there's veneration, and they're very different. But to them, it's all flattened.
Exactly.
Do you have anything you want to say there? I've been trying to keep notes so I can go back to interesting
parts
of the conversation. So going to the thoughts, and you're saying that you got to use the nepsis, that watchfulness.
Yep.
Not all the thoughts come from you. I was thinking about my little brother. He's an atheist materialist, and he's had conversations with me about things that he says are intrusive thoughts about terrible things. Like he has the urge to do something that makes him feel disgusted himself. Like, well, I would never want to do that. Why is it in me? Why did that desire, that thought pop up? And as a materialist, an atheist, you kind of have to go, that was my brain chemicals. That's me.
Exactly.
You don't have the ability to go, oh, that's an attack.
Exactly.
You go, well, I guess I am a struggling pervert, or I'm a pervert who fights against it. It's like, no, you're a person that's being warred against.
Exactly. Yeah. That's very much the way that, I mean, atheist, or even if you're into the New Age, your definition of it is totally different. But I think it's because, like, for me, a defining moment was always looking at consciousness as the definition of the awareness of being aware, right? So if I looked at it that way, and then just taking Jesus, the Christianity part out of it, if you just look at it from that standpoint, and then you apply that thinking to an atheist, an Orthodox Christian, or a Protestant, they're all going to have a different version of looking at awareness of being aware. Who's aware? What's aware? So like the atheist, like you said, would just view it as a bunch of brain chemicals firing. It's just data. It's your subconscious going through information. They look at dreaming the same way. That's how they experience everything. But for someone that's Orthodox Christian or a Protestant or a New Ager, they're going to define that differently. So yeah, observing your thoughts is important, but also knowing that there could be demon intervention.
Right. It's weird. Have you heard people say that, like, oh, everything in your dream is just stuff you've seen that your mind is recalling from? Do people, blind people, dream? Do they have visuals in their dream?
Dogs.
Where's this thought that everything is it just because the materialist starting point, they make the conclusion that, oh, everything comes from your sense data, so when you're having a dream, it's just borrowing from that stuff, so all the people are just people you've seen on the street? Like, how would you prove that? I've heard that so much, but I've never seen, not that I've gotten looking, I haven't seen any evidence of that.
Well, the problem with all of that stuff is even those hardcore materialists and all those atheists, all those freaks, and I'm calling them freaks because I know that they don't agree with what they're saying. They themselves have an issue because they call consciousness the big problem. That's what it's referred to in academia, right? The big problem is
can't account for it.
They can't account for it. They can't explain it. And that was my entry point to all of this stuff. So when they look at dreams and this and that, so consciousness is the perspective point on any discussion we're going to ever have on anything that's about thought, dreaming, or any of that stuff, right? So if you're looking at it from that standpoint, that it's a bunch of chemicals and it's the hard problem, well, then how do they look at dreaming? They look at it the same way, that it's just a computer. It's a bunch of data. It's the same people that think that AI is actually going to become sentient. You know what I mean? Like, it's just never going to, because it's never going to be able to do that thing that we do. Us as Christians, we believe it's because of God and Christ. A New Ager that does believe in consciousness, they'll say, they'll give it a different term. But that's those guys that are atheists and they're just like, they think everything's pragmatic. Yeah, they look at it that way. That's why they don't really care about death, or they could think that they can upload their consciousness to a computer. How could you do that? Like, unless it's data. So they look at everything as a computer. They look at us as a big moving computer. So you just take the hard drive out and put it over here. What's on the hard drive? Whatever I've put on it. Oh, what did you see yesterday? That's on the hard drive. You're like, well, I know I've dreamt about stuff of places I've never been to. And then a New Ager will tell you, oh, you're astral projecting. An atheist will say that's your imagination. You know what I mean? So it's weird. It's a weird place to be, this reality.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of problems when you have the materialist atheist worldview. All the conclusions you have to come to because of that starting point. Like, I've been having this conversation with some people in the comments of my videos about the past. If everything's material, then the past has to be material. And then I've had some of them say, well, it's an illusion of my brain chemicals. I'm like, okay, well, the illusion, obviously, like that would have to be physical too. So you're saying that it's your brain chemicals, but now the ability to know things and know that you know them is under question, because if your brain chemicals can give you illusions, then now that's dubious. And a lot of them couldn't understand. I was saying, okay, show me how the past is physical. Put it in my hands. Like, let me have the sense data that tells me the past is physical. And like, well, look at photographs of your grandparents. Like, give your grandma a hug, all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, that is me looking at an object I'm holding an object in the present. And then you're telling a story of how this relates to the past.
Yep.
I'm not holding the past in my hand. Oh, of course, we could say, well, this was created when at a factory, and I have it now, but that's not me holding the past. It's not a brute fact that this is the past. It's just an object with a story. And they can never figure out how they're like, you're being ridiculous. I'm like, put the past in my hand. All you can do is, if it's physical. And they were like, well, you have the same problem. You would just say, look at photographs. I'm like, I'm not saying the past is physical. That's the problem, is that you have a problem, but I don't have it.
Because they love presuppositions. It's really quite annoying. Like, one of the things I want to talk about on my live stream tonight, like, because I don't have like a set thing, but one thing is I want to talk about semantics, because like these presuppositions of things are really annoying. Like, I don't want to go off on semantics now because I'll go off about it later, but
later.
Actually, when you jump on, maybe we'll talk about that. But the thing is, like, exactly based on what you're saying is like, they're like, the past exists. Look at this picture. But you're saying physically, I'm holding the picture of something that tells me about something about the past. It's the same thing as when you ask one of these people, like, that are all materialist, they would say, show me a thought. I'm like, you can't show me a thought, but you can show me the outcome of a thought, because there's nothing around you that you can't see that wasn't designed because of someone's thought, whether it's like this cell phone or this pencil, right? You have to think it to make it, right? So you could show, like, you can reason that there must have been thought to design the cell phone. How do you know? Well, because I know whenever I've had a thought and I think of making this food, I think of it first and then I start making it. But you can't show me the thought. You can show me the outcome of the thought. Same thing with the picture. You can show the outcome of time, like this happened, and here's a snippet of it, but it's not something in the past. I can't hold the past. It's quite annoying.
Right. And like a lot of, like, the main critique was, you don't have that problem if the past isn't material, right? So, not that we're getting to the semantics. We'll talk about
anti-semantics. No, tune into the podcast tonight. I'm definitely not anti-semantic. I get annoyed when people throw that word around. Like, I don't want to get into it now because I don't have anything to talk about later that I specifically want to break down, because I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of when you're talking with someone like, oh, we're arguing semantics. I'm like, malaka, what? I will talk about it later. I'm definitely not anti-semantics. Quite the opposite. Well, it depends on what I'm anti-semantics. Well, if you're reading the word I am and anti and semantics, well, then you clearly believe in semantics, or you're being sarcastic. Logan,
he's making an anti-Semitic joke.
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
I was trying to go along with it. Remember last time, the P and the Z?
Yep.
So I was trying to go. I wanted to drop PZ in there. That's what I was thinking.
So yesterday I had somebody commenting. I think they're an inquirer of orthodoxy. Distinction, if you're here, let me know it. But he was saying, asking about Orthodox authority, like how we ascribe authority, and he had questions. I started describing. He's like, this sounds very Protestant. Like, so what do you think? I wish I had his things pulled up, but he was saying, if anybody can help me remember, like, if you could just say, oh, this priest isn't telling the orthodoxy the right way, and you could just go to another priest, isn't that just like me going to another church I want to? Like, how is that not just the same thing as if you're going to an Orthodox church, and let's just say the priest is an ecumenist and he's saying all this modernist stuff, and you go to another Orthodox church where they don't do that, is that you just being a Protestant and picking and choosing and being your own authority? How is that you submitting to the church authority if you can just do that?
That's what they said to you?
Yeah, that's what the question was, basically.
Well, because we're not we don't have a monarch. So you have a choice to who to go to listen to, whatever. So it's not like you're changing. So first of all, the important part there is that priest that's preaching ecumenism, I'm not going to be like say he's a heretic, but he's teaching heresy. It's like, you know what I mean? Like our only like for sure rules are what the church says are the rules. And anybody you approached, like if you went to St. Paisos, you ask them, yo, is this cool? They'd be like, no, that's not cool. So like that's so the difference between, to answer their question, is that person isn't starting their own church technically. They're just, that's one person in the fold that's talking about like I shouldn't say that about a priest. That's one person in the fold that's talking blah blah blah. Right?
They're in error
to be
in
nice.
some way, right?
Very big error, right? So that person will have to deal with their own errors when it's time for them to deal with their own errors. But that's not the church. Now, if that guy went off and created his own church, then that's Protestantism. Right. That's Protestantism. Right. That's the difference, right? Like you're just not, Protestants will like literally go, oh, I don't like this teaching. I'm going to go around the corner and start my own thing. What is it? 4 walls in a Bible? That's all you need to be a Protestant?
Or the woods and the toilet and
Right. So that's the difference.
Just me and pooping in the woods with Jesus. Exactly. That's all.
Like that Mari dude. That's what he did. He's like, I don't like this. I'm going to go create my own cult. That's Protestantism.
I try to bring up the point, like even if there is some kind of parallel between Protestantism and Orthodoxy, and I wouldn't deny that there's things that are perfectly Orthodox in a lot of Protestantism, but it's not, oh, I'm doing this and it looks or sounds like Protestantism, therefore it's Protestant. That doesn't, it actually makes more sense if it's the opposite. Oh, hey, Protestant, you're doing these things that sound Orthodox and we're way older than you, so why are you being Orthodox right now?
Right.
And exactly. I made the point that there's a level of self-governance, of self-sovereignty that I choose to put myself in the yoke under obedience of the Orthodox Church. And the specific example, which I don't think it has to be, but was I was an inquirer at the time, and it was 2020 and things were crazy, and the church I was at shut down for months and months and months. So I went to one that wasn't shut down and wasn't teaching wasn't going along with the narrative.
Right.
So I didn't have a spiritual father at the time, all that stuff. But even, I believe it was when Arius was doing his trash that laity, just normal lay people, left the church during, I think even during the service when Arius was teaching his heresies after he'd been condemned. And bishops commended those laity for abiding in the truth and abiding in the church and the tradition.
Absolutely.
And not being under it's like if let's just say it's a bad marriage and the man is really bad and he's doing terrible things, beating his wife and all that, like what's the authority like that with the wife? I mean, does she just have to, is it Protestant of her to go and seek help and all
good
that?
Yeah, good point. Good point. Well, it's like that's a good point. It's also what's happening with the OCA church. I'm not going to mention his name, but everyone kind of knows what I'm talking about. That particular Greek head priest guy who went to Greece to baptize people that maybe shouldn't have been baptized.
Not OCA.
Go Arch. OCA?
No, he's Greek Orthodox.
Yeah, but
Archdiocese.
But isn't he under OCA?
No, I don't think so.
No, okay.
He's under the Greek hierarchy.
Okay, even worse.
It feels bad I know you want to distance yourself as a Greek person.
I do. Dude, you have no idea how much I want to. So, okay, I'll go off on a small tangent that's a little bit. So, like when I hear a lot of the online Orthodox content creators, especially in the beginning, like slam Greeks for that kind of stuff, at first I was like, yeah, I get it. Like I still totally get it. It's embarrassing to me as a Greek person because we do have a lot of really interesting saints that are amazing. And then at the same time, we also have a lot of these like people doing some bizarre stuff under the name of being a Greek Orthodox person. It's embarrassing, dude. It's embarrassing. It's completely embarrassing. Yes, that guy. Nadim's dropping the name I'm trying to avoid. That individual. The reason why I'm trying to avoid it is because I don't want to stir the waters. I'm trying to avoid that. I'm a stir the waters type of guy. But in the last 6 or 7 months, I'm trying not to, because then I get caught up in it. But anyways, because I'm from Canada, a lot of people know this individual and a few others. There's a Canadian version of this person. And he does this. He's also Greek, and he also does these bizarre things. You know what I mean? So someone asked me, like, so I had an argument-ish sort of conversation with a friend of mine from Toronto, who's Greek Orthodox, who says even though he doesn't agree with these things, he still goes along with it. You know, and I don't know where to draw the line. For me, I can't. So I just don't criticize them, although I kind of sort of did. I just stay away. I think it's better to stay away for me. For me, it's better to stay away because I can't half-heartedly do something. I just can't do it. It's kind of like when I'm on my show and someone requests a song that I don't exactly want to play. Sometimes I don't do it. By the way, your request last time was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to play some more Emery. There's definitely better Emery songs, but that was like you're talking about how a song just switches genre, and I thought that was a really good example of it.
Yeah, definitely. See how we just did a whole tangent? That was all.
Yeah, and then you even segued it to another one. That's great.
Right. You see what I'm saying?
But
no. That's not what I was trying to do. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So you said there was some stuff you wanted to have me on. I said it'd be fun to get on SOS radio and play a bunch of cringy Protestant stuff I grew up with.
Yeah.
I definitely have there's different levels of it in my head of like the stuff that I was only allowed to listen to as a little kid that's just so terrible.
Mm-hmm.
There's the stuff that's tolerable. Then there's like the singer-songwriter worship stuff that is, I guess in a way it's like more edifying and uplifting, but it just makes me very uncomfortable. All of the put your hands stuff up.
Yeah.
And then there's a category of like, well, I think this is actually a legitimate band with artists making stuff, but they're Protestant or whatever. I mean, I think those are the categories, but there's definitely some that we can go back and listen to. It's going to make me, it's like, you ever watch a really, really terrible movie as a kid and you think it's really good and you go back to watch it and you feel weird about it?
Yep. I know exactly.
It's going to be like that. Like, I remember loving this and liking it so much. Now I don't feel the same way, but like what was good about it? It's all of that. Some of that stuff.
I'm interested in it because even when Orthodox Outcast was on the last episode, he was like breaking down the Christian music scene because he's read to me, it's so foreign. Like, it's so weird. Even hearing what you just said, like, I get it now as someone that's kind of walking now, but it's so weird to me, dude. You have no idea how weird it is. Also, for me, it's different. Like how you described it, like that worship. I love Jesus is my friend. I can't stomach that stuff. It's to me, that's like the street preacher thing that we were talking about earlier. That's what that thing is. But then there's someone that will write a song like Justin Marlar. I keep going back to him because he's obviously one of my favorite Orthodox musicians, or Luxury or whatever. They're, even when they include references to Christianity, it's not in a cheesy way. It's like kind of like there's a huge difference. One seems like they're calling out like virtue signaling, and the other one is kind of like just exploring a thought, an idea, a love, an interest, or whatever, right? So like I think there's that distinction as well. You also made a third distinction where you said it's like a Protestant group just making music. They just happen to be Protestant,
right?
That's
and they're legitimate. Like it might not be the best, but you wouldn't say that this is like propaganda or something like that.
Right. It's like it was funny because Father Turbo and on Royal Path, I think it was Cyprian that mentioned it, or Andrew, because I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking a lot about how Katy Perry started off as a Christian musician first before she blew up with I Kissed the Girl and stuff like that. And I remember listening to some of her early stuff. First of all, some of it was good. I was kind of surprised. Like, she has that song "You're So Gay." Before
that's about. Do you know who that's about?
No. Do you?
One of my one of my favorite bands is a Protestant band called Reliant K.
Okay.
I often say that God, in His goodwill and sovereignty, allowed the tragedy of the Protestant Reformation to happen to bring about the crown jewel of the Reformation, Reliant K. Very good band. That's when I would play a couple of songs on theirs if you just had a Westford radio.
We're gonna do it. Throw down the name again. What's the name?
Reliant K.
Reliant K.
Really good.
Okay. Go ahead.
But Katy Perry was started off as like a Protestant, like good girl singer, and she was dating the lead singer Matt Thiessen of Reliant K, and then they got into a breakup, and he wrote a song about her called, I believe it's the one I'm waiting for. I'm still waiting for you to be the one I'm waiting for, and she wrote "You're So Gay."
Okay, well then that's a good response. That's a good response. You know what? One thing that always it's a bit of a side tangent, but always confused me about Protestants, even back when I wasn't, I didn't consider myself Orthodox. This one always threw me for a loop. The once saved, always saved. Because even like hearing like these kinds of things, that's only something that someone that's once saved, always saved thinking would do.
Yeah, because I remember there's two different forms of once saved, always saved. As far as I can tell, there was my version of it, which is, you got your golden ticket. You said the prayer. You said the incantation. You got the golden ticket. Yeah. You can go and sin as much as you want. You can apostatize, and you're going. You said it. Jesus is gonna be there when you die. He's gonna take your soul to heaven. Amen. Yep. And nothing you do can snatch you out of the hands of God. Amen. And then there's the other form, which is, well, if you apostatize, obviously you didn't have the golden ticket to begin with. So you can be once saved, always. You can be a Christian for 80 years, and then last week you're like, I hate God, I hate it all, and then die. Hey, you weren't really saved, because if you really had the once saved, always saved faith, then you wouldn't have done that. So there's, is that like really a thing? Yes, I've had that conversation with good friends on this channel.
That's
already.
A cop out, man.
Isn't it?
That's a
Isn't
cop
it
out,
though?
dude.
Isn't
That's a
it?
total cop out. It's like because when I was like in my teenage years as an Orthodox kid, grown up Orthodox, hearing like these bizarre things, like to me, I wasn't a practicing Christian. I wasn't hardcore about it, but to me, it just, I was like, that's a bunch of nonsense. I'm like, they would tell me that. I'm like, so what? You could just say that, and then all of a sudden, you can like do rails off strippers' butts and whatever, do whatever you want, and you're good to go. You know what I'm saying? And then they're like, yeah, pretty much. And they're like, that's not like that for you. I'm like, no, man, it's not like that at all.
That would be my form of it. Would be well, because there's the justification, sanctification, glorification. So if you got your justification ticket, you got your ticket punched, you're getting on that train no matter what, buddy. Go sin as much as you want. You're gonna be in that heavenly train. But then, hey, if you don't do that and you live a good life, then that's you being sanctified. That's you being put, set apart in some way. It's moralism, really. But the glorification is now you're dead and you get your new body and you get to have fried chicken in heaven with Jesus Christ. But yeah, there's I think it's some kind of reformed. I know a lot of Calvinists I've talked to have the other form of it, which is it's once saved, always saved. But you can't know that you're once saved, always saved until you're dead and you never apostatize. And then we can say, okay, you had the saving faith. But it's always in question because at any moment you could apostatize. And then, hey, you didn't have it to begin with. You weren't really saved.
It sounds like a loophole that they created to get out of having to try to explain once saved, always saved in the beginning. So they kind of created the second. Well, there's also this, and that's what that sounds like to me. Because like from our perspective, you could fall at any point. You could be a saint on your way to saintdom, and then like a couple of days before you do some vlakia, and all of a sudden, boom, you fall off the ladder. It's what's that icon with the ladder of ascending grace? You fall from grace at any point. Like you're never saved.
The ladder divine ascent icon.
Divine ascent, divine ascent, that's the one. Interesting chat. What's throwing a truth matters? Always.
I haven't been looking at it a lot. Yeah.
No, I just like looked over right now. Calvinism is wild. Totally.
And we've had two Calvinists on the chat hop in, and they're pretty cool. I would consider them friends. And if you're listening, I saw John earlier. You're a cool guy. But and I'd love to keep having conversation. But yeah, it doesn't make sense to me from a logical perspective. It's not really saving grace until it is at the end. I just don't know why you would call that once saved, always saved. It doesn't make sense to me.
I don't do well in these conversations when I'm like debating or disagreeing with anybody that's not Orthodox, just for the basic reason of how simple. If you just boil things down simplistically, it's pretty obvious. You can't just make things up 1,500 years after the fact and then say, I have the point. That automatically on its own to me is an issue. You know what I mean? And then you have like it's just weird. Like you have the apostolic succession. You have the Didache. You can go to the Didache, read the Didache and say, which church looks like this?
Right. Which one still holds the same fast?
Right. It's that simple.
Written in 50 AD.
Exactly. It's so basically all you have, like I was talking to someone not too long ago, and it was going on and on and on. I'm like, let's just boil it down simple. Do you believe there's only one church? And he's like, yeah, it's got to be faith in Jesus Christ. I'm like, for me, there's only one physical church, and it's referenced in the Bible, and I make reference to it. I'm like, what church looks, sounds, and smells literally like the one described in the Didache, the one that the apostles, the apostles, if they existed today, where would they go? You know what I mean? It's just that simple. Outside of that, like, what's there to argue about? There's only one church. If there's only one church, which is the one church that looks, sounds, and smells the same? And that's it. It's as simple. So that's why I don't even want to have these conversations with people. Not with you, but someone asked me if I would debate or get into that realm, because I was really good at it before. I'm like, I don't want to go down that road. And then they're like, well, what about if it was about apologetics? Because you seem very passionate about that. I'm like, because I don't want to have these conversations. To me, it's a bunch of nonsense. I'll leave it to the others that should be doing it. It's not a criticism on them. I don't have the patience for it. It just doesn't make sense to me. Read the Didache, read Revelations. What church Revelation? What church looks like that? What church smells like that, sounds like that, and practices the same way from the beginning? There's only one. So why are we arguing? Why are we debating on it? Just leave me alone. Believe what you want. That's where I'm at.
Like having conversations with my Calvinist friends, I keep bringing up the continuity. Can you show your belief in continuity with all history? Can you say, show me somebody in the 100s and the 200s, 300s, 400s that was saying that? And you'd be like, well, this person said predestination, and then it gets into quote mining and not looking at it holistically. Okay, well, St. Augustine talked about this or whatever. It's like, well, he was also a bishop, and he believed in the real presence and confession and all this stuff. So if he was all that, you can't really take an aspect of it and then try to look at it through your lens and not everything he was believing. I mean, that's like saying, oh, they had America back in Athens. You know, that was a republic, so that was America back then. It's something like that where it's just ascribing it with a modern lens.
Exactly, and that's exactly my point. That's exactly my point. Even like it gets annoying. Even with the Roman Catholics perspective, it drives me nuts. I don't have the patience for it because I just want to get to the point. And then if you can't explain that, then there's no point in talking any further. Simple as that.
And I think it's important to have not like everybody has to have the conversation. Like if it annoys you too much, and it can be kind of weigh you down just having the same conversation over and over, whatever. But I think it's important to talk to these people, especially when they're in good faith and want to learn about orthodoxy. But I think another pitfall is falling into polemics of, if you're having these conversations like with Calvinists or Protestants all the time or Roman Catholics, and you're thinking about orthodoxy in a way that's like a bridge to connect those people to help them come, then you're thinking you can often fall into the pit of thinking about it of, oh, it's not transubstantiation, it's not consubstantiation, instead of what is the Orthodox perspective. You're thinking about it in negating the other forms of it. Oh, we don't believe in predestination. Well, we do. It's just not Calvinistic predestination. You know, we believe in Jesus Christ as a ransom for many, but it's not Anselm's ransom theory. And you can get into the black and white limited thinking like that.
Yeah, I meant less. I shouldn't have said conversation. I said more debate. I don't mind a conversation. I'll make a distinction. A conversation and a debate, they're like done healthy, are great. It's the back and forth. The problem with a debate on these subjects is you've entered the conversation, usually, not always, usually. Like I've seen some really healthy debates where it's like, it's honest, it's fair, and it's in good faith. It's the ones that are not, that are a problem for me. Like when you ask a question, if you can't answer that. So my whole thing is like, it's like the whole, what is a woman thing? And it goes around in a circle. What is a woman? It's a person that identifies as a woman. Yeah, but what is a woman? You know, that whole thing. It's that, to me, a lot of the conversations in apologetics, when you're debating with people that are doing it not in good faith, it's a circular argument, right? So I see Jay Dyer going through this all the time, and I don't know how he has the patience for it. I see Andrew, like I see these guys do, and I don't have the patience for that conversation. If I have a conversation with someone I disagree with, I fully agree with what you said, as long as they have the proper intention, and their intention is to find out what is the truth. So what you start putting, because I've had a conversation with both Roman Catholic and a Protestant where I brought up apostolic succession, where I brought up, let's read the Didache, let's see what it, and they kind of had to think about it and go, okay, yeah, that's a good point. Or like, we didn't have the gospel for 33 years after, you know, for such a long time. And then all of a sudden we have what carried that message was tradition. Like we know this as Orthodox. These are like our argument, our points of contention, but they matter because if you're being honest with yourself, how do you answer that question? If someone poses that, like, who created the gospel? Oh, well, we did. Well, how did we get to the gospel? Well, we had tradition. What does this tradition look like? Oh, is there anywhere we can look at this tradition? Sure. This book called the Didache. Can you see it in the Gospels? Like, can you see a description of the future church? You can in Revelation. What church? Like, it's those simple things. If you can't answer those, then you just want to go around in circles. That's what I don't like, having those conversations. You know what I mean? Like,
well, you are go on.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, you're having these conversations and walking people through logic or showing the evidences of orthodoxy. People can be hesitant because it just depends on the person. The disposition of the heart is what we keep saying. So if you're holding on to like, you'll say you're Protestant, you're holding on to your Protestant systematic theology so hard that being shown evidence that contradicts it, it's like you're holding on to it and you're not really seeking truth, or your worldview, your religion is like a Band-Aid that you're putting over it, and you don't want to have it taken off and be let's expose it and clean it. And hey, that's not what the church teaches. It's like, no, don't touch my Band-Aid. I know that's going to hurt because I've been using it to cope for so long.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think when you show somebody like your argument for sola scriptura is circular, that's like when the atheists say you believe the Bible is true because the Bible says it's true. How do you get out of that? It's like that's a valid point from an atheist perspective, talking about Protestantism. They'll go like, well, I believe it because the Holy Spirit told me to. And it's like, okay. And then if they're not really looking for truth, if they're holding on too tightly, then yeah, just circles and circles. And I think a lot of people, especially people that watch Jay Dyer, I have seen a tendency for people to be like, they listen to Jay Dyer for 6 months, like, I can do that. And then they want to be like a debate bro. That's too argumentative. It's like, just have conversations and ask questions. And if it's not a formal debate, you're just having a conversation with a friend or somebody, then try to get them to think and try to, just shift the Overton window in their brain. Like, oh, now I'm thinking about orthodoxy a little more. Like, that made a little sense, instead of be like, here's a defeater for a sola scriptura. Rip off that band-aid right now. It's like, that's not everybody. That's not everybody.
Exactly. And like a conversation is great, and they're fun. Even when especially when when you disagree with someone, it's what you're talking about there. I don't have patience for that. I don't think it's a good thing, because there's times when you're having a conversation and someone, I disagree, debate me. Let's go. Let's do it. And they all of a sudden start asking you questions that you now have to answer. I like that moment where I get caught and I'm like, oh yeah, let me think this through. And then you walk yourself through it and you're like, okay, this is good. I can back myself up. Or, oh my God, there's a hole in my thinking. I got to go back and figure this out. Right. I think that's very healthy. It's, you know what? We lost that as a culture in around 2014, 15, 16. And I think that's something that we need to bring back. For me, I think it was like a psychological operative that they walked us through, and then the trigger point was what do they call it? The Donald Trump, the Trump derangement syndrome. I think around that time, that was like a trigger to make people take sides, because right after that is when you started seeing everyone was calling it SJWs. Everyone was attacking SJWs, and then later it became woke versus non-woke, and then later it became COVID versus anti-COVID and vax, and they started creating all these groups. But I think it's something that I know it's something that they designed from the 60s to this point. The trigger point was the whole Trump thing, because I was working for this. I always wear this for a reason. This is my uniform, my live streaming uniform. I used to work for this company, Lush, and you can't get any more. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. You can't get any more woke corporate than this company. You just can't. They were woke before woke was a word. They were SJW before SJW was a word. And when I was working there at the time where this was shifting. I was having lunch conversations with everyone that opposed everything I said, but we were friends. And after 2016, especially 2017, you started to see they would sit in different corners of the cafeteria, let's say, because of these kinds of conversations. You just couldn't have them anymore. Like, I remember having conversations against feminists, and we would go back and forth and have a very healthy discussion. We would strongly disagree with each other, right, but we would still go back to work and joke around about it. I remember so many examples we would joke around about it. And then one day I was the racist guy. And then they're like, this guy, I don't have tattoos. And everybody has tattoos. I was weird for that. Like, just weird things like that, man. It was crazy.
I've worked with people that were like super liberal, and it was kind of after I'd gotten out of my liberal phase it was only lasted really like 2.5 years, something like that. But I was pretty conservative, and I had these really liberal friends, and they'd talk about like abortion and feminism and all this stuff. And I would just ask questions while we're at work. And at the end of the day, I remember one of them like nudged me on the shoulder, like, "Hey, I'm so glad that we're on the same side." I'm like, I think you're insane. I'm just asking questions and being a normal person and being what I think is this normal politeness. I'm not insane like you, person. I don't want to kill babies.
Yep. I've never been for abortion, even when I was like,
oh yeah, me never. Too. Even when my pendulum swung and I was being emotional and thinking through emotions and turned my brain off, I never gave an inch up on abortion.
Me too. Never. I'm probably gonna have to go in about 15 if that's cool.
Okay, I'm just gonna open up to people if they want to jump on. Hey, Nadeem and Logan, what you guys want to say about the conversation so far?
What's up? Good to see you again, Mano.
Honestly,
what's up?
Honestly, I didn't really. I wasn't here like for most of the time. I was trying to set up the stream. I think I might start streaming.
Oh, so you're here to promote yourself, huh? You're here to piggyback off my audience.
I mean, yeah,
you want me to do all the heavy lifting?
Oh, yeah. We're here to shill and steal audience.
That's what I'm supposed to do. This is just the Made by Jim Bob after party, after all.
I mean, that's how you
listen to
basically
everything.
operate it.
Yeah, basically. I mean, that there's been several streams where it's just people from Jim Bob's chat come here and we
Stop
just
attacking me. Wait,
hang
I
out.
need to adjust. Okay, I won't stream. Okay, I'll stop. I'll delete my channel. Okay.
No, don't
That
do
was,
it.
that was such whiplash there.
We gotta stagger them all so we can all like
Yeah, this
work
is like
off each
reverse
other.
psychology. He's like, no, don't make me don't make me burn my channel, please.
I know.
Oh
I
no,
know,
Nadim,
man.
don't do it.
I know, man.
Was that Logan that just took off?
Yeah, I thought he was gonna have
Oh,
something to say.
man.
He's gone.
He shit the bed. Or see, am I allowed to say that? I apologize.
Yeah,
I apologize.
I don't police speech. I don't believe in free speech, but I also don't really police it.
Well, it's not even that. Like, I'm trying to figure out whether I want to continue swearing or not. I'm an extremist. Either I do or I don't, and I'm on the fence about it. Today, I'm swearing more than I normally do.
I mean, I went into this thinking I'm not going to swear that much.
Yeah.
Part of it was just like thinking about like my children coming back and seeing me have a dirty mouth. Right now, I'm on my back porch, and sometimes I'll be streaming and have to mute my mic because my daughter runs by, and I'm trying not to have a dirty mouth in front of her, obviously. And I also would feel bad if like somebody's just listening to this. It's not, obviously I can't control what people do, but if like a mom's listening to a podcast while she's making food in front of her kids and it's just like like horrible language, I think about that. But I also don't think that it's wrong to just cuss in language in jokes. I mean, you can leave.
I don't either.
I mean, I think there is a Pageauian thought behind like cussing is probably not good for your soul, or it's you know, cussing is usually making something divine or something that we should venerate being brought down to the mud, or it's trying to bring the mud into the house. Like when we say shit, like we're talking about lower things and making them more common, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I struggle with it because I also see that there's like a good thing to it too. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Like, I mean, if I was going to try to do a Wes Watson impression, I could not. I would my neighbor.
Shave your arms. Shave your arms. Show me your.
Well, dummy. He says MFer every 3 seconds. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah. You know, that guy is a good example of like why not to be a dumbass. That dude,
right?
Like that one moment in time for him, he's never gonna live that down.
No,
like there's no way.
He has kids too, so the rest of their lives too.
He just moves his arm like this, like I don't know where.
Yeah, totally.
You see,
I watched it live. I watched it live. As soon as he was doing it, I was like, "Oh, this is not going to go over well. That's like not going to go over well."
Stop saying shit. Knock that shit off.
Exactly.
All right, Anchorman joke, everybody.
Why were you calling me disobedient?
You were talking about the bishop that Mano.
I was just stating.
I was just saying. I'm not saying you were disobedient. I'm just saying don't be disobedient. Like if that bishop came to my parish, I would ask for a blessing. He's not defraud.
Yeah, me too. I would ask for. I would
that's all. That's all.
Oh yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
Well, dude, I haven't been to liturgy in a bajillion years. I haven't taken communion in a million years. I would take it from anyone that I shouldn't quote who said it, but a priest told me once, yeah, if you have to, sacraments are sacraments.
Right.
So.
No, I mean, you have to, I think you're supposed to, if this certain bishop is in your parish, you have to go kiss his hand.
Yeah, unless he's been condemned.
I misunderstood.
Well, I mean, it's like a want to. I think it's a want. Like it's this person.
I mean, you have to at least if you because me I altar serve, and you're supposed to at least kiss the hand of a priest.
Nadim, my chicken Welma earlier made me bleed. She kept pecking me. Something tells Manuel that you would know how to handle that.
Yeah, you have to. You hold them, okay? You put them the other way, and you start reciting the Quran, and they start sleeping.
The other way? Do you mean sideways, upside down? I don't want to do it incorrectly.
Like upside down, and they start sleeping when you recite the Quran.
Okay. If I eat the Quran first, will it just be able to emanate forth from me?
No, it will be
eternal
even
book,
more.
right?
You'll get diarrhea.
They'll sleep like an hour. Like each page you eat, it adds an hour for their sleep. You know.
So
you can actually work this out like as a regiment. How many hours do you want to sleep? That's how you work it out.
That's how much books. That's how much pages you have to eat.
That's it. Have you guys read the Quran?
I I haven't read it all the way through. I read the first maybe 100
ridiculous.
something pages.
It's
I've read
ridiculous.
the ridiculous.
That's all of it. It's like it's so
That's
strange.
it.
It's so strange.
I wanted to bring it back to Wes Watson for a little bit.
Oh, we have to.
What's your take on Wes Watson? Just first of all.
Who, me or Nadim?
Yeah, but yeah, both.
You want to go first, brother?
He's a G. This guy
He's
he's like my idol.
You want to be him?
He's my idol. Yeah, I want to be him. I would love to see him being like a concierge or something. It would be so funny. Like
you want to go to London and check into a hotel and he's there waiting for you in a suit.
Get in the door, motherfucker.
What I was confused was when Jim Bob started showing, because I've never watched any of his old stuff. I remember seeing some Wes Watson stuff like 2020. But when he was showing that old footage of him, like from back in the day when he was on the park bench, his head was so much smaller than it is now. Like, how does that happen? Is it
his body was way skinnier. Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's the steroids.
The poo pants image. That's that. Yeah, see, that's not the same dude. It's
yeah,
like
that's
Joe Rogan
a couple
has
years ago.
He looks like Hulk Hogan.
Look at the eyes, dude. It's crazy eyes, bud. That's
Like,
straight
the same
crazy
guy?
eyes. That's what I'm saying. And then you go to that. What is going on here? The head's
It's
different.
steroids, right?
I think so, because
Even
even Joe Rogan has the same thing. His head's different. It's like his skull.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
Joe Rogan,
the
but he
neck?
openly admits
Yeah.
steroids.
But that guy can explain. It's just like the skull. It's like the bones thickened.
Is it
or
these
something.
traps? Is it the traps?
Totally. Those are crazy traps, bud. Crazy traps.
He's natty though. He's right. He's natty.
You gotta listen to me.
Can you imagine hanging out with
Don't
this
listen to
fucking
any
dude?
man. But
The
me.
account is private, really.
Straight
Motherfucker.
savage.
Well, let's see if he'll let me on.
Oh, you let's send him some video messages. Let's do it.
So for people that apparently don't know, Nectaros is asking who Wes Watson is. He's one of these guys who yells at men. He basically is an internet daddy who tries to get you to clean your room by screaming at you and calling you bad names. And he got into a kerfuffle with two Orthodox guys on a stage, and he said some really silly things, and he became a meme.
Mm-hmm.
And my take on him is that he is like using masculinity for the telos of femininity. Like everything he's about is like be a bigger man so you can be womanly. Like go work out every day and make money so you can drive cars and basically have your man purse. It's and
all
you
that
can tell he's
retro
womanly
shit.
because he couldn't control his emotion. Yeah, it's materialistic. He couldn't control his emotions.
What
on
are you
stage.
doing with your life? What are you doing with your life? You don't have.
They're like, Wes, be quiet and let's move on. Every like 3 seconds, he's like a chicken, like,
Yeah.
stupid, ugly, shave your
he's a-
arms.
He's a dumber version
down,
of Andrew
sit
Tate.
down.
Like at the end of the day, he's like a
Take your
stupider
arms.
version of Andrew Tate, man. Like guy's like just straight degenerate.
Yeah,
Shave your arms. Shave
Yeah.
your arms.
Shave your
basically
ass.
the same guy, but he says some absolute wild stuff. I heard him today
yeah.
saying something about showing his butthole to people.
Yeah,
and
that's why I was wondering
we
if
have
he
to
shaves,
own
if he
this.
shaves his ass. He must shave his ass then. If he's showing his butthole to people, he's got to be shaving his butt. Can I
you
see
don't
that?
if you don't
put bleach down there, you ain't a man.
Is it suntanning his butthole? Remember that thing? The
Yeah,
butthole
I remember
suntan?
that.
He shows me his asshole.
It's like-
He turns to me. They're like, yeah. He looks at me, and I'll bam, knock him out.
It's like, I wonder because his prison stories are pretty gnarly.
Yeah, it's weird.
They're all fake.
It's like I bet that like there's some crazy stories. He was on that guy Adam 22's podcast talking about being in prison and stuff. I watched a few minutes of it. I was like, that's the wrong podcast to be on talking about butt stuff. Well, you have to.
Weird.
If he's shaving arms, you got to be shaving butts, man. Come on. There's
It's-
no
it-
way.
It's weird that he's talking about you got to be a man, and he says shave your arms, show me your belly.
It's totally manly, bud.
He talks about buttholes way too much. It's weird.
yeah.
It's weird. And
Well, just
I'm
say you
I'm
fuck
trying to get the hashtag going. Not all Wes's. Not all Wes's. Please, can we please call him Watson? Stop calling him
Look at
Wes.
this guy. Look at this guy. How is he a
It doesn't-
man?
That's a
Doesn't
good
make me feel
point.
good.
That's a
Doesn't
good
make me
point.
feel good.
Shave your
That's a good
arms,
point.
man. Shave your arms. Sit down.
He's gnarly, dude. The poo pants. The image of the poo pants. Have you seen like that? What's up with those pants?
The poop.
Yes.
The what?
Well, so there's that picture. Okay, so when he's on that panel talking to Andrew Wilson and Jim Bob, and then there's like a picture from him from the back, and his jeans are like sagging. It looks like he's wearing like diapers. You haven't seen that? So he's got the tight pants and like you gotta look it up, man. He's got like these super tight pants and like this butt pooch. It's like, what's going on? He's hiding shit in there. That's a double meaning there. That's a double meaning.
Okay, I have the video pulled up. Where is it exactly on here?
Yeah, let me see if I can find the picture for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
For Nectarios not knowing this, I'm sure tons of people here, everyone else watching, but
everybody's throwing the video up.
No, I've lived the lowest lows and the highest highs. Well, what's
I've lived the lowest lows and the highest highs.
Dollars. If you look at these studies done on them, it does not.
I don't fit no fucking study.
It does not.
My butthole ain't gonna fit your statistics.
If you look in the mirror,
it's an outlier.
You guys say this motherfucker's proud of who the fuck he is. That's a bag of trash.
Right there.
Dude.
There's a picture of like
tell me you're fucking
straight shot
proud.
of his ass. Right there. Let's go back. What's that diaper shit? What's going on?
Tell me you're fucking proud.
Because I've been.
Boom. What's that? There's another one where it's like even clearer. Like, what's going on with this? Like, what's up with that?
He has one solid ass cheek.
It's like, what's happening here? What's happening? I'm telling you, he left a shaver in his butt. That's what's happening.
If you don't work out so hard that your glutes fuse together, and now you just have one mound ass. That's just you punch a hole right in it. I can't do a.
See, here's the
problem.
problem.
Want me to do a
full
justify? If you want me to do a rich, drip, and rare impression of this guy, I would need to say the F word a lot. I'm just not willing to do that on the back porch. So please support me by sending a super chat to my Cash App. Yeah, I'll get a swear room.
Yeah,
go on. What you're saying about the diaper man?
No, I was gonna say. Well, there's another shot where it's like even worse than this, where you can clearly see it.
Why are we staring at the dude's ass?
Well, wait, why not? Right? Like we have to find out if he's shaving his butt. We got to know if
he's the perfect man. I mean, he says that we need to be like him, so we have to analyze every crevice, every orifice.
That's it. But see, okay, as an Orthodox, I would have made a joke here that would not be like very.
No, continue.
Can I make it? I shouldn't.
So,
you can. Repentance is for all.
No, it's okay. It's pretty bad. I was gonna say, like, I'm pretty sure it's because he's got a prolapsed ass.
Oh,
right. See, that's the image. That's
sorry,
the image.
Jim.
The sock.
Are you saying
I'm so sorry.
Gotti,
I'm sorry.
Your money and everything else is worth more than your children?
My dad's a superhero. Look what he brought to the table. Look how hard this guy works. He came from nothing to this.
Yeah.
He works. He's God damn it.
You're still whining. Stop whining. You're just making
it's even weird.
There's another shot of it. What's happening here? I'm telling you, it's prolapse. That's prolapse. That's a prolapsed butt. No. I'm sorry. It is. What else could it be? He came from jail.
It looks like his thighs are censored.
I don't know what to say about this, dude.
I would have never thought that this is the aspect we were going to focus on. The aspect that we're focusing on, everybody.
Stop
zooming. You put your head in the swear jar. I have to. Sorry.
I need to zoom and enhance more. Let me print screen.
I'm commenting on Dave's comment here. I apologize, Dave. All
right. So when we get emojis, Wes Watson's ass will be one. I have the screenshot. So
how close are you
getting
emojis?
I'm at like 34% of the way there, but it updates like 4 days behind, or something like that. So I have from like 4 or 5 days ago's numbers. So I don't know where it's at today.
How close are you, Mano?
I have all the followers I need. I need views. I need like 1,000 or 2,000 more views.
Well, it's by watch time, I think, right? So it's like hours watched, not view numbers. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, that's right. So tune in tonight, the live stream. We're gonna have Wes on there. This Wes, not the other Wes, not the poo pants Wes. Wes Ferd.
We will get into the same room at one point. I believe that that's predestined to happen. Calvinism is true, and Wes Watson and I are meant to be together.
For sure. You guys have to talk it out. Who's the better Wes?
It's true. I mean, I think we all know the answer already.
Yep. That guy. is a strange cat. I don't know what to say. He's famous for all the wrong reasons. Kind of like that other guy. I guess Andrew Wilson has a talent for making chumps like that really famous. That new dude that he called out on whatever podcast, the cuck guy. Have you seen that? Where he calls out the dude on whatever podcast he's a cuck, and he made him like admit that he was a cuck.
I don't think so. Those whatever podcasts are hard for me to watch.
Yeah,
I've seen maybe like 2 or 3 hours of it.
Well, you should see what he does to that dude, because then later, after he leaves the podcast, he's like apologizing for all the things he said. He became famous for getting like Andrewized, if you want to call it that. Wilson gave him a blast. Oh, what's going on here? Who am I watching? Study of Stuff, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I should turn my camera, my things off when I'm on someone else's stream. Who am I watching? Oh, you mean for tonight, Bill Hicks? Yeah, you're watching the Study of Stuff.
Yeah, Mano is the front man to the Study of Stuff podcast and radio.
I'm that guy.
He is the podcast.
I am that guy.
He's like a unit. He's
You cannot separate the art from the artist in this case.
Can't do it.
He's a Hindu.
I'm a Hindu.
Yeah, like one with the podcast.
That's it. That's it.
He's the Brahman, and the SOS radio is the Atman.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is. You know what I mean? Like, when then we have Vishnu, Brahma, everyone, and Shiva. The three. They're like the some idiot trying to tell me that's like the Trinity. That's right there. Prolapse butt. That's the cover of my new album. My new album. Actually, I shouldn't say that because my new album's Orthodox.
Try the soundboard stuff.
I don't have it hooked up right now. It wasn't working, so I don't even have the right inputs right now. I'll try it next time, Nadim. I apologize. Well, John, you gotta put first things first, and I know how that is, man. I just hate that we're not friends anymore. How you doing, Cooper? You're Cooper of King Pilled, I imagine. How you doing, sir?
Oh yeah, that Cooper. What's up? From King Pill. That's a great. Some of those conversations you guys are having there, man. Killer. Fan of the King Pill.
So
I found out about King Pill because of Slowboy Whiteboard was like, everybody, let's go raid King Pill from the Mr. Westford chat, and I've only watched like 3 or 4 videos now, but yeah, seems like a stand-up gent.
Definitely, he's from the whole libertarian side of the Orthodox camp, like where Buck Johnson, Cyprian, and all those cats. I was on Tommy Year Zero, Tommy Salmon's web.
Is he a libertarian or he was?
They were. They're all like libertarians that turned ortho. So like, there's these weird pipelines. One is like the punk to orthodoxy subculture stuff. Another one's the libertarian one. Another one's the Jordan Peterson one. And then there's like the Protestant camp that find their way to us. To the us.
I mean, Mano, how did you come back to orthodoxy?
Good lookings.
How did I come back to orthodoxy? Where's that good lookings come from? What the hell was that?
Yeah,
Sorry,
what
that's me for a loop.
Wait, did you hear something?
I heard something like good looking or something.
Oh, sorry. I was trying to get. I forgot. I forgot that it wasn't on screen, so I didn't realize. I was just trying to pull stuff up because I was gonna say that King Pilled. He makes I was listening to him and I was like, who is that voice? And I think it's a mixture of this guy, this YouTuber about he does like movie videos.
That's not
skin, but my skin is also like kind of sensitive to the sun. Like I kind of try to avoid the sun.
So it's that guy mixed with Cyprian from the Royal Path. That's
oh yeah, okay.
So I was just pulling them up and I was gonna bring it up. I didn't realize it was going.
No, it's all good. It's all good. How I got back to orthodoxy. Yeah, people are throwing Jay Dyer in there. That's Cyprian
coming into a
right. Can you picture those two voices mashed together and then you have King Pill? That's what my brain
is so true.
Look, I'm asking Mano because most people, I think most people in this area are like converts.
Oh,
in Lebanon?
No, I mean here in the chat.
Oh yeah. King Pill's here. What's up, King Pill?
Oh yeah. Hey,
What's
King
up,
Pill, did I nail it?
Okay,
Is your voice the mashing together of those two people? In my brain, I'll hear you talk. In my earbuds, in my ears. But my brain tells me that those two people. I was doing yard work, listening to you, and I was just getting the images of both those YouTubers.
Yeah, and also King Pill, I'm going to be reaching out soon.
So best watch out.
Tommy Salmon and
yeah,
because when I had Buck Johnson on, we were talking about him off air. We were talking about you, King Pill, in a good way. And he's like, you guys got to talk. You guys got to talk.
Do you like when you read you with the 7 viewers?
Oh yeah, we got to help the smaller channels out, dude. I mean, every little bit counts, I think. Absolutely. Yeah, you make the point of never listening to yourself. Yeah, that I would have that as well. I don't have it as much anymore, but yeah, I used to any video recording of myself, hear myself talk. I'm like, ugh. But I got over it. You have to get over it. Unless you don't. I guess you don't have to. What are you guys talking about? Yeah, Mano, why are you Orthodox?
Why am I? I think the question was, how did I get back to Orthodoxy? I think that's what you're asking me.
As a non-convert.
How'd you become a prodigal son? What was what slop were you eating, and then you came back?
I say, I was like 25 years in the occult New Agey sort of world. Some libertarian stuff as well. Definitely went down that road. How did I end back? Honestly, it was a combination of Jay Dyer and James Perloff in 2014 making a comment that they'd become Eastern Orthodox, and I was confused because at that time it wasn't super popular to say something like that. And I was like, and then it got me thinking, and I was a fan of Jay's. Jay made a lot of sense. 2020 came around, so a lot of crap happened, as we all are aware of. To make a really long story short, I was really into Hermeticism, as I've said many times, and like the Kabbalion was kind of like my Bible. When I took the 7 principles, inverted them, realized that there was actually something real about like the evil side of things, that actually devils and demons and Satan and all that stuff was for real. I'm using cartoon words on purpose because that's how I thought at the time. And I started looking around going, okay, this isn't just a conspiracy, which I was deeply rooted in conspiracy. Even from the conspiracy stuff, I just thought they were just kind of like going, like playing the part of Satanists. They weren't actually taking it seriously. So anyways, 2020 came. It was clear that it was. I inverted all the stuff in the things I believed in. And I looked at what it was, what I had in front of me. And it was a lot of the Orthodox principles. And then hearing a couple Orthodox content creators talking about hell and the difference on what hell is from the Orthodox perspective. And I realized all my views on Christianity were Roman Catholic or Protestant, and that I didn't even know my own faith. So then Death to the World. Then I came across Death to the World. And I'm like, this isn't I looked at it and I'm like, okay, coming from a punk rock music background, I'm looking at this going, okay, this looks familiar for 2 reasons. Number one, I kind of see the Orthodoxy I grew up with, and I kind of see the punk that I grew up with, but this is neither. And then as I was reading it, it kind of changed me. So yeah, that's a long story.
So when you were a kid, you were like used to go constantly to church?
Yeah, I was pretty devout up until about grade 7. So in the interview I did with Father Turbo towards the end, where he made me cry when he made me realize what my grandfather was doing. My grandfather was a big part of my life, so having him around, I would go to church a lot. I believed. I went to we call it catechism. It was like Sunday school, I guess we would call it. Yeah, we call it catholico. So like that was our catechism. So I would go to all that. I did well in the courses, the classes. I enjoyed church. And then I kind of slowly walked away around grade 7, 8, let's say. But I didn't. I still, in my heart, I was still Christian. I was still Orthodox, but just just nationally, like Easter.
You're like a nominal Eastern Orthodox.
Yeah, in my high school year for sure. And then I contemplated the thought of atheism, and I was like, nah, that's stupid. Like I never attached myself to that. I was like, didn't make any sense. So I was kind of, I guess you would say, agnostic-ish, but I was really into philosophy, which I wouldn't recommend exactly. And then I went down the Hermetic stuff because I was studying consciousness, like I said earlier, deep into what we call now conspiracy stuff. So yeah, it was a weird time. Orthodox for kids who.
It's nice to hear. It's like. It's very similar to me, but mine is like there's less years. Like you.
Right. How did you end up back?
So back is a big word because like when I was a kid, I never knew the difference. I always brag to my classmates that I was Orthodox because most of them were Catholic, and that I could take communion and they couldn't.
Yeah.
that was like the only difference I thought existed between like Catholicism and Orthodoxy. I thought it was just like and that we're based because we don't listen to a guy. That's the only thing that I knew that was different. And I always preferred going to the Orthodox Church because it's like way more beautiful and breathtaking. Because I was in a Jesuit school, and we used to have like a Catholic Latin mass and stuff.
Was it
And
required of you to go as a student?
Yeah, there was like I mean, I liked going. I used to like I used to help them and stuff when they asked, because I was in scouts and they only picked scouts to help in the service. I helped just like as a for fun, not for any belief or anything. And then I kind of, when I got to grade one, like the whole 2020 happened, I just everything stopped. I didn't care about anything about this at all. I was just like nominally, like you said, Orthodox. I never stopped saying I'm Orthodox. I always any part of my life I always said I'm Orthodox. I never said I'm just Christian. I don't. It's like part of. It's crazy because now I reflect and I'm like, yeah, it's crazy how I used to never not say I'm Orthodox, not knowing how unique it is to be Orthodox. You know, so it's like a non-conscious thing. You know, like maybe it's, but I don't know. I can't judge, but then after my 2 senior years of high school were just messed up. I thought I thought that was my happiest, but it was actually
Oh my
the
gosh, yeah.
worst.
My little brother, not to make this about me, but I'm gonna do that. My
I
little
didn't
brother
finish,
would
but
call me.
I let you speak.
Okay, go
It's
on,
okay.
go on. Yeah, fine, sure. Yeah, it's your show, Nadim show. Let's go.
No. You can talk.
It's your turn, buddy.
But
Are you
anyways,
done?
now that Nadim's done talking,
Okay, Logan, shut up.
So I
yeah,
was
that's
gonna
not
say,
very nice.
What's up,
The
Logan?
two
What's
high-
going down, dude? I love the coin.
the,
On God, we bussin'.
the two senior years of high school were just like completely messed up. I won't say. I said in the chat already. I won't say it on live. We don't know who watches.
my little brother would, for like years, would call me and he would tell me about like he's having panic attacks and he's having all this trouble. He's scared that his job is going to fire him because he keeps not showing up. He can't sleep. He doesn't have the drive to do his laundry, all this stuff. He's like telling me for like an hour and a half, just venting about all these things bad in his life. And then like before he leaves, like, but I'm the happiest I've ever been, really.
Exactly. That's
okay,
how,
Man.
yeah,
all right.
all
They're
that
living the fake it till you make it lifestyle.
Yeah,
all that
it's sad.
happened,
Pray
and
for him.
I was super like an attention seeker. I was I really I couldn't bear the thought of like people not me not fitting in, and I used to do anything that the group around me used to do, and I thought that it was the only way people would see me differently or something. I don't know. It's like dumb stuff.
That's normal.
And then
Yeah.
I graduated, stopped seeing all those guys, and I don't know, something happened. I started watching stuff online, and got back to like thinking. I'm like, okay, I always believed in Christ. I never stopped believing in Christ. But like now I feel like I need to get more Christian, you know. So I started reading like seeing stuff, Protestant stuff or like Christian stuff and Catholic stuff, and I always used my Catholic mind because I was in school they used to we used to have catechism classes, but like Catholic catechism classes, and it's like every year it's like part of school. And I mean that kind of thinking got in the way when I started thinking about that, and this happened like a whole summer. I was doing it like very rarely, like, and but I still I'm like, okay, now I 100% I know I'm Christian. Christianity is correct anyway. But then after, I still did very dumb stuff.
Are you sure?
The summer ended. No, I still did very dumb stuff, like the same stuff I used to do, like not very Christian thinking. I was like, okay, it's cool, Christian. That's it. Let me do whatever. Let me go to parties, drink, everything. Then after the summer happened, I went to London, to uni, and that's where it really happened for me to think. Like in the Orthodox way, and I don't. Something happened when I was praying. I can't judge. I don't know, and it's not important. And then that's where I started.
Sorry, Nadim. Go on. I'm listening.
And that's where I'm reading Bill.
Oh, okay, gotcha. You're seeing the jokes as well.
And that's where. and that's where I had my fully faith. I'm like, okay, sure, I'm completely Christian. I have to do everything to be Christian. And then I went with this Protestant thinking, like, yeah, I have to preach to everyone, and like, yeah, when we need to save.
Were you going to the street corner and screaming at people?
No, not that much.
Hey, why not?
Never, like, on the street corner yelling at people to repent now.
I mean, you look like you'd be like selling kebabs or something. Not to be like racist, but I mean, you did know what to do with my chicken. So do you sell kebabs?
I never actually preached. But I'm like, yeah, okay, let me read the Bible and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but and then after I'm like, okay, I need to start knowing what I'm believing. Like, why am I believing that?
That's key.
Specific thing. And I'm like, okay, why am I Orthodox? I'm Orthodox. Like, why am I Orthodox? Why am I listening to like Protestant dumb shit? Like it was super cringy to me. I never like the way they thought. It was like super weird to me. Like it's very
Definitely.
uncommon. So
Definitely.
so I'm like, okay, like why is Orthodoxy so good? And why when I used to go to church, I was always happy when I was a kid. In Orthodoxy, and I'm not happy reading all this Protestant nonsense. So I started reading.
So you're looking for the burning in your bosom, is what you're telling me. Mano,
I watched a lot of.
I know earlier you said you wanted to get out of here soon.
Yeah, I do about 10 minutes more, and then I gotta go because I have an. Like I told you, I run a restaurant, so they're actually waiting for me. I just gotta go cook souvlakia, shish kebabs as you call them.
Oh,
for the Greek souvlakia.
Okay.
So where is this restaurant?
It's in Mexico, in Puerto Vallarta currently, but we might be moving soon. We're gonna actually go. One of the reasons is to go to church. How do you like that?
Do you know the First Thing Foundations with John Here's? I know.
Yeah, Peter Here's brother.
Yeah,
Father
he has
Peter
a restaurant that helps fund his missionary work too.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's cool.
It's in
because he's
Carolinas
like ish Greek sort of.
Yeah, he's Greek American ish. Well, no, I mean I think he is like pretty ethnically Greek. But
no, I think I heard him say. I think his
or half or
one
something.
One of his parents is Greek, and the other one's like German or something like that. I don't know, whatever. But his you know what impresses me? Sorry to go off on a tangent, but what impresses me about Father Peter Here's his vocabulary in Greek is deep. Like he knows a lot of words, but his accent's a little weird, so it's kind of strange for me because like my accent's really good, but my vocabulary isn't super awesome. So it's kind of like, what did he just say? But it's great. Anyways,
he'll talk about how when he's in America, he's the most Greek person ever. People think of him as the Greek person, but when he's in in Greece, everyone thinks of him as an American. He's not one of them.
Yes, because instead of like hola tikaris, hola ndaxi, he'll be like hola kala is like he has like this like really like even when you say it in English, you could hear the difference. Tikanis, hola kala rather than tikaris, hola kala. It's like that. But
I'd like 2 tequilas, a quesadilla.
Exactly.
Can I get 7 chicken fajitas?
Exactly. Dustin nailed it. That's so true. Greeks are like vegans. They always tell you that they're Greek. 100%. That's 100% true.
Yeah.
That is 100% true.
It's the same thing
no
with
doubt
Lebanese.
about that.
I go to a Greek parish. You have no idea.
I know exactly what it's. There's 2 types of Greeks though. There's not 3, not 4. There's only 2 types. There's the one that knows what they're talking about when they claim things are Greek, but they won't claim things that are not Greek to be Greek. And then there's the ones that claim everything to be Greek.
It's like what's it called? The Greek wedding. The movie.
My big fat Greek wedding. Like that guy's a malaka. That guy's a malaka. Straight malaka. So he'll pick like some of these guys will pick these words that are definitely not Greek. They're Turkish, and they're like that's a Greek word. I'm like malaka. That's not a Greek word, dude. Like that's.
Can you tell us what malaka is? Is that Greek?
That's definitely Greek. Greeks are Greek in general is a very descriptive language. So one Greek word is like 5 English words. So a malaka is a person who partakes in masturbation.
Oh,
okay. Right. But it's literally that's what that one word means.
So it's wanker.
Right, but it's more than just a wanker. It's more than just a wanker. So it's weird, but the way we use it is like I mean, there's every culture has a word like this where you can use it as a greeting, an insult, all that kind of stuff. So like if I say
F word,
yes,
it's the F word, or is it your F word or N word or something?
It could be. We have strong swear words though. That's the thing. That's why it's weird. So like Greeks will like to tell you off, but they'll like to tell you where to go and how to get there and what to do when you get there. So it's like that kind of a thing. It's not just like one thing. If they just say like F word, that's not a big deal. But if they're like if they tell you where to go, how to get there, and what to do when you get there, it means business. They mean business.
Oh my!
Yeah. I've heard that you have to be careful with swearing in Orthodox countries. Can be very blasphemous.
Yeah.
They take the holy things and they bring them down.
Yeah. I could think of 3 words right now. I can't believe I'm even thinking them. They're actually that bad.
Oh.
Yeah, like they're bad. Like even just to think I don't even want to think it. But there's a couple of them that are really bad.
Right.
Like,
well, is there a difference between that and like us, shooting the shit? Is
Absolutely.
There a right?
If I tell you what some of them are, you will know the difference.
Right. I don't want to hear them. Honestly.
Let's just put it this way. Individuals we highly respect and love, some that we even worship, they'll start the phrasing off with F words. F your so and so.
I see.
Yeah.
So on the topic of words that may or may not be claimed as Greek, it's time to start a war. Who invented baklava?
Great. So that's one of the examples. So when I get David Erhan on, I haven't reached out yet. I want to have this talk because he's Turkish. I'm Greek, right? So my answer to those people, when Greeks say it's Greek, bullshit. When a Lebanese person says it's Greek, bullshit. When a Turkish person says it's Greek, bullshit. You know what it is? It's Byzantine food. So during the Byzantine Empire, all of these foods were mixed and matched from around the world. Constantinople was the center of the entire planet. All the big trades were done there. So
because we have baklava too.
Exactly. All of these cultures, Syrians, everybody, they claim baklava is theirs. It's none of theirs. It's none of ours. It's none of ours. It's basically a byproduct. A lot of the food that we argue over is a byproduct of the Byzantine Empire.
There is some.
Hold on. In Constantinople, you had the East and the West meeting. So you had food from India, from the Arabic countries and all that stuff meeting in one place, and they just mixed it. That's my opinion.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
Very respectable as an opinion, I think. But I think those stuff is like they do a lot of problems,
They do, but they're all idiots, right? Like when I hear Greek arguments, I think, dude, what are you saying? You're making us look bad. Just like the guy we were talking about earlier that went to Greece to baptize people. I'm like, you're making us look bad. You know what I'm saying? And then there's other words that they don't argue for that are Greek, and then they'll put it in the dictionary as Latin. And I'm like, that's not a Latin word, man. That's a Greek word. But then there's some Greek words that are Turkish or they're Italian words. Like, you know those videos where they have like Greeks, or like every culture they'll have like Italian and Greek, or and then they'll have like, you know, Turkish and Syrian, and they're using words that they all have in common. It's because those words are the same word from one country, and they both adopted them. That's all it is. It's annoying.
Yeah.
Sorry, I went off.
No,
That's all right.
like people don't realize just how close most things are linked linguistically.
Definitely.
The funniest is definitely English, though. It's so far from everything that the only thing it's closest to is Dutch.
Yeah, that's a good point. Dutch is a weird one, and Finnish. They have a weird linguistic tree.
So I don't want to keep you too long, Mano. Feel free to jump off whenever. But Cooper did ask, "What's your favorite punk band?"
What made you ask that question? That's cool. I guess I was
Hopefully,
talking
still in
about
the chat. That was like a good 20 minutes ago.
If I had to say quickly, I'd say the Clash. I have nostalgic reasons for it, and other reasons. I would say the Clash, definitely. But maybe in modern times, I'd change it. If I could give Tom Waits as my punk answer, it would be Tom Waits every time.
Now, another question I have is a hamburger that has deep fried donuts as the buns. Is that Greek?
Always.
Okay.
You know what? I'm willing to give that to the Greeks. It might be the most American thing I've ever heard, but sure, Greeks can have it.
Have you ever had that? I had that once, and it was miserable. You think like I like both those things, I guess, but it just made it both were worsened. It's like you're not making rock and roll better, you're making Christianity worse. Is it the other way around? You're not making the Christianity better, making rock and roll worse. That one.
Yeah. It's like that sounds gnarly though.
It's not good.
Yeah.
Would you have a peanut butter and jelly banana burger? The King burger?
With a burger patty?
I think, yeah, it's a burger. I think it's just peanut butter and banana on a burger.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
You wouldn't try it?
No.
No.
Maybe if I went back to my
it's the same thing. It's like bread with peanut butter and.
Oh wait, someone dropped a good one. Dead Kennedys. Sorry, I have to comment on that. Can I comment on this Dead Kennedys comment here?
No.
Oh, come on, please.
Yes. Go for it.
Logan, you are not to the host.
I struggle with the Dead Kennedys. There's a couple of bands I struggle with because of their politics and dumb things they did during 2020. And that's one of the reasons. But no. Like if I took that part out, yeah, Dead Kennedys are good. They're really good.
I think the only song I know by them is California Uber Alice, if I'm going to be honest.
Great. Yeah, that's also good. Operation Ivy, totally true. Big fan of them as well. Rancid, I like them. The thing is, I can't separate my beliefs with music from music. I can't. I have a hard time with that.
Do you ever just like not look into their politics or their Twitters, just like keep it, or do you have to be like, are they a douchebag?
First thing I do. So even there's some like for the radio show, like, and anyone, if they have any Orthodox suggestions, please. Yes, minor threat 100%. If anyone has any Orthodox suggestions, send them to me. But like they'll send me some Orthodox music, and I like the person, but I don't like the music. I will play some of those things. But if I love their music and there's something wrong with their politics, I struggle with that. Most of the time I don't, but sometimes I do. Like I play Bad Religion, and I don't agree with their politics.
Yeah, I feel that. Like, I can hardly listen to like Disturbed because, yeah, just too much silly stuff wrapped up in a lot of their songs, and it just even the songs that I don't really hear it in, I feel it.
Yep, totally.
Do you like I just lost the name. Dirt Poor Robins, that Orthodox band?
Yes. Okay, this is gonna go out there in public. I really okay. There's okay. Sorry. There's a type of there's music that I really respect, but I'm not a huge fan of. I would put them kind of in that category. But recently, I've been listening to more of it, and it's really growing on me.
Firebird, their newest album, is pretty good.
It's pretty good. True. So to answer the question, yes, I would say if someone asked me, yes, I would say so. But I'll be honest, at first, I wasn't captivated by it, but the skill was next level. So there's like a lot of bands like that for me, a lot. So people will bring up bands and I'm like, yeah, I'm not a huge fan, but I totally Pink Floyd. I'm not a Pink Floyd fan at all, but I respect a lot of what they do.
Oh yeah, you're a Pink Floyd fan?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, I know. He just said he's not actually a big fan of them.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I know that's.
Is Pink Floyd Greek?
They always, of course, the Floyd
Okay,
part.
yeah, I thought they were. Yeah.
They shortened it. It was Floydopoulos, and they shortened it to Floyd because like Mano, I had to shorten my.
Guys, sub.
Yeah,
Guys,
yeah.
everyone sub to the stream and share to your friends. To your
He's
Ortho
saying that
friends.
so then he can piggyback off of this stream for his own stream. So I grudgingly I will agree. Yes, please sub
No,
to me.
I'm using my mod presence.
Oh, I can.
Odd
Okay.
presence.
What about
F
Rise
my stream,
Against?
F my
Rise
stream.
Against. Oh yeah. Well, first of all, I love the song by Black Flag. That's one of those bands I respect, but I'm not a huge fan of. I've seen them a couple of times live when I was at the record label. I met the lead singer. I don't remember his name now. He was a pretty cool guy, but I'm not a massive. So this is where you, Westford, not the other West. We might have to chat about post-hardcore because a lot of that stuff is rooted in certain genres I'm not a huge fan of. So what's called post-hardcore now, like after the 2000s, has a lot of metal influence. The metal influence, if you took out, so it's mostly New York hardcore that it's based off of. So Rise Against has the California hardcore sound, but they have a little bit too much of the metal stuff for me.
Okay, so you're not a big metal fan?
Not really, no. I do appreciate a lot of it though.
Is it like the heavy vocals? Is it like the low scream or the high scream stuff? You like clean vocals?
Yeah, well, not necessarily clean vocals because like 80s hardcore and a lot of the hardcore I like, there's a lot of yelling. I don't know. It's the way that they sing and they put too much of an emphasis on like guitar riffing and stuff like that. So not that any of that stuff's bad. It's just not my favorite. Like I don't mind screaming. Like if you listen to like Minor Threat, that's pretty screamy. But it's not that, when everything went emo, screamo, hardcore, and no one knows what the difference is. Like that era, I'm not a huge fan of a lot of that.
Yeah.
Well, to me, like screamo has always just felt like an insult because it's like,
yes,
just because like I don't go, oh hey, you're playing that guitar music. It's like it doesn't really tell me what the band is. It can be even just getting into all of the subgenre feuds. It's a little pedantic to me. Not that we can't look at the roots, but just being like, oh, this is post-hardcore. It's just
right.
Each band is going to have their individual influences.
The truth, that subject annoys me because I was at the record label when we had a lot of hardcore bands on there and we have this fight all the time. I'll just end it this way. It's really simple. Screamo and hardcore are technically exactly the same thing. One's an insult and one isn't. But literally, if you look at the root of it, Fugazi, for example, is considered post-hardcore. And also, I forgot the lead singer's name now. Ian MacKaye. He later on created a screamo band that I can't remember, or an emo band that I can't remember what it's called. And then when emo started screaming, they started to call it screamo. That's all it is, but it's really post-hardcore. And if you look at the definition of what post-hardcore means, it just means after hardcore.
Right.
So it's all
people that were listening to hardcore, now they're making music, basically.
Right. They were just getting more creative. Exactly. All it was is like musicians that were making hardcore music in the 80s started to get better at their musicianship and wanted to write deeper and crazier lyrics. And then they just created this whole genre called post-hardcore, but they never called it that. There was just hardcore that was a little bit more technical.
Okay, if we could do just a lightning round, if I can hold you for a little bit longer. As Lay Dying.
Sure. No, they were on our label, no.
Okay. What do you think of cold wave genre?
Don't know what that is.
Me neither. What are your thoughts on Hare Krishna stuff that was going on with hardcore like Cro-Mags and others?
Oh yeah, no, not a fan at all. Like the Cro-Mags, I love Straight Edge. A lot of that stuff creeped its way into there. I think it's the same thing as with the Beatles and the Maharishi. Bullshit.
Thoughts on Avenged Sevenfold?
Don't know their catalog well enough, but from the music I've heard, I'm older, so everyone thinks it's just because I'm older. But if I was all your guys' ages, I'd have the same opinions because I'm like a purist. No, not really. I don't like a lot of hardcore or punk stuff that's not very purist. Sorry.
If they could just edit out all of the vocals of that band, it'd be much better.
Yes, I would agree with that. I would agree with that for sure.
The guitarist is totally competent, good guitarist, but man, I've never liked that vocalist.
Yeah.
Ugh. And they're pretty foul lyrics in a lot of the songs too. Refused.
Yeah, a lot of them are a bit much.
Are really
Refused. Good. I would say like that's another one of those bands highly respect, but not a huge fan. That album, the Sound of Punk to Come, was obviously everyone quotes that title because it was so true. Got to give total respect. That's a good call. Not a huge fan of. That's when punk changed for me, where I wasn't a huge fan of, but I have a lot of respect for the Refused.
Yeah, one of my favorite bands of all time basically just wanted to be the Refused. So yeah, this is the Refused, The Shape of Punk to Come. Yep. Really good album.
The Shape of Punk to Come. Sorry,
Shape of Punk to Come. Yeah, and then if I could recommend an album, real quick.
Yeah, do it. Emery was a good call, dude. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, like, Emery was one of my top in high school.
I knew that song. I didn't know the name of it. And as soon as you suggested I started playing, I'm like, oh, I know the song. It ends amazing, and that way it ends is incredible. Like that's fantastic songwriting.
This is yeah, and it's like imagery too, because that's hit that when it changes the genre in the story of the song, because it's about the stoning of Stephen, the first martyr of the church. The whole metal kind of like slow emo stuff that's happening is him debating with the Jews, and then he's stoned, and then they turns into jazz, and it's him entering into paradise. But this album is No Sir, Nihilism is Not Practical by Showbread. And one of my top albums of all time. If you can think of it as this is a band that loved the album The Shape of Punk to Come, and it's basically the second album, like almost like a sister album to that, but it really good. They were really young,
sort of spiritual sequel.
Yeah, I believe they're only like in their, they're like 18 when they made it or something, but super good.
May I just say I hate the fact that this not that the earlier conversation wasn't awesome, but it just gotten so I can't leave.
Yeah, people are, this is when I had you on the first time, I thought this was what it was going to be, and we talked about orthodoxy stuff, but yeah, we're 2.5 hours in, and I'm like, I could go another 5 hours just talking about music probably.
Right here it says, did Iggy Pop invent punk? Come on, man. That's a question I have to get into. Can I say that? I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm taking up so much time. Vanamides jumped in here too. I think Vanamides, Manny. That's that's my boy right there, dude. I'm gonna come and do the souvlakia in a minute.
Yeah, I've heard you answer this question of what's the first punk song, and it's not what you would expect.
No, I don't know, because it depends on where you would start from. Wait, hold on. Who's he referring to as ask him? Oh, ask me. Oh God. So first of all, let's go to Iggy Pop. Iggy Pop, yeah, definitely one of the okay, it's hard to pinpoint where punk starts because you have to define what punk is, but whatever definition of what you think punk is, no one will disagree that honestly, Iggy definitely was one of the first people that could put a claim in it into like legitimate, this turned into punk for sure. So I would put like him, Captain Beefheart, he's always credited as well. But the first punk song that Manny's referring to, I would say Roadrunner by the Modern Lovers. That's a little bit of a controversial one. But if I was to go to like early stuff, there's many good examples. Little Richard, I would say that's pretty punk rock, that kind of stuff. But that's not what people want to hear. I said something about Jim Morrison. I'd say it was Jim Morrison's early pioneer of punk. Bill Hicks, I do not disagree with you. So I was avoiding saying that, number one, because I love and hate Jim Morrison for many reasons. Number one, his PsyOps connections, which we did an episode of last year. We're going to do another one on Jim Morrison and his dad. But I was a massive Doors fan. The Doors definitely 5-1, baby, 1 and 5 is most definitely a punk track. But the reason why that's not punk is because it's garage rock, and most garage rock bands are the proto-punk bands. So you could say that about the Kinks. You could say that about them, Van Morrison's early band. You could say that about a lot of bands. So they're a little bit more gritty than the Doors. So if you're gonna put Jim Morrison in there, then I'd put the Kinks before Jim Morrison.
What is punk music?
Every punk will give you a different answer because it means different things to them. It's definitely not mohawks, leather pants, pins, or any of that BS. For me, punk rock is orthodoxy. It's the true rebellion, and I'm not just saying it because I'm quoting "Death to the World." I do agree with how they view it. Punk rock is what punk rock is to music. Orthodoxy is to faith. To me, punk rock is anyone that wants to make things basic but complicated, but also go to the purest form of what it is that makes something pure, beautiful in terms of music. And it's a pushback to anyone that wants to make it we have the devil as our antithesis. Diavolo is to divide in Greek. That's where it comes from. So I think anything that's not punk rock is dividing from that sense. So to simplify it, because I complicated it, to go back to my complicated but simple, punk rock is something it's music celebrating it's a music, an idea, and a philosophy that celebrates the true essence of why we make music. Is that too
Do
philosophical?
Do punks still hate Ronald Reagan?
No, some do and some don't. I think the ones that would I don't love or hate Ronald Reagan, but I would say that that's a good question because that makes good reference to historic punk history for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of the bands that hated Reagan at the time, I think now would like what would be considered Reaganism.
What do you think of G.G. Allen?
I despise G.G. Allen. Why does he come up all the time? I mentioned
I don't know who that is.
I mentioned G.G. Allen. Oh boy, I mentioned G.G. Allen in my podcast with Synaxis because they should do an episode on him, and he's popped up in every music conversation. G.G. Allen is one of the most degenerate human beings that has ever existed. Degenerate.
Nadim, are you okay, dude? What is going on?
I want to know.
Is the mushroom kicking in, dude?
No, there's a mosquito. There's a mosquito flying around me. I can't.
I'm so happy you brought it up. I was dying.
Nadim, are you all right? Do you need to go? Is the moon beaver visiting you?
Buddy, are you communing with the spirits, buddy? Oh my gosh.
This mosquito just keeps getting away.
Oh, he got a skeeter.
Skeeter.
Hey, Logan, are you a punk? Do you like listen to punk music?
Kind of. I mean, I've usually described myself as more of a metalhead, but
okay. I've been in metal bands, but I've always thought of myself as punk or whatever.
I never liked
it's
punk. I never liked any.
Well, yeah, I've always considered myself a punk. So even when people are, we're listening to heavy metal or whatever, like I don't know. It's interesting to talk about the roots. Like, Mano, you're way better at like the roots of the music and stuff. But I remember being my friends talking about like I said, the subgenre bullcrap of parsing things out and like, can we just, I don't know, this is masturbation. I don't really care. But if you're talking about like the inspirations, the roots, that's different. But
yeah. No, that's kind of been my thing is like people talking about like the different subgenres and stuff. It's like, yeah, no, I get it. It's good to categorize things, but if we start going overboard and getting bogged down and, oh, I like this specific thing and I despise anybody that likes this specific subgenre of it, like, I don't know, it do be getting a little intellectually masturbatory.
Absolutely.
So
I used to love minimal techno. I used to be like.
Did you say Minutemen?
Vitamins? You say
minimum? Minimal.
Yeah, I thought he said Minutemen. I'm like, yeah, that's one of my favorite hardcore bands.
I thought he was being like being British and saying vitamin.
Vitamins.
He did say uni earlier.
He did. That's true. I caught that too. He took his camera off and his mic. He's like, I'm out.
It's the demons. It's the mushroom kicking in, dude. He doesn't want to.
Actually, Logan, to your punk point, actually, if I would go back and answer that question, what is punk? I would have more simplified it to like CBGBs. If you went back to that time and you looked at what punk was, no punk band looked the same. No punk band sounded the same. You had the Ramones, Talking Heads, Television, and none of these bands, Blondie at that time was still punk, and none of them sounded or looked the same. All that they had in common was that they had a love for music and a sound, and they were just moving, and they weren't even creating genres. So I totally agree. Like even in punk, it makes subgenres is weird.
Well,
isn't it? Go on, Logan.
Well, I was going to say, kind of the whole point was rebelling against mainstream music in a way, and just making something that they could all relate to. Like, music is, in a way, a very powerful genre, or, well, form of entertainment. You can put a lot of emotion and belief and thought into it.
Yep, that's true. That's actually one of the things we're going to talk about tonight on the live stream, which I got to get going.
Last question. How do you feel?
I definitely have to go. Sorry, go ahead.
Last question. How do you feel about punk being commercialized, like with like Hot Topic? That's
ridiculous. It's kind of like it shouldn't be in the same sentence. Once it's been commercialized, it's no longer punk. It's like it's why I bring back to orthodoxy. It's not because we're having an orthodox conversation. We're pre-denominational. So I'm going to answer your question by answering it from the perspective of like the annoyance that I was talking about earlier, debating with like Protestants or Roman Catholics, the ones that don't want to have a conversation. It's pre-denominational. It's not a denomination. So to say punk that's sold out, it's like saying, orthodoxy is a denomination. I think we should stop saying it's a denomination. It's not a denomination. It's the thing. So punk to me would be the same sort of thing. Like say that. What happened there?
He's at his job right now. Sorry, go on.
Oh, okay. So to me, it would be like the best way for me to answer it. Commercial punk is not punk. A denomination, like orthodoxy, is not a denomination. It is Christianity. So I would look at it the same way. To me, I'm very like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm very much a purist.
All right, then one last thing, and then if you don't leave, I'm kicking you off. You're supposed to leave a while ago. I mean, you got stuff.
How many one last things? How many 10 more minutes?
My wife has said, or you said you're going to shut the stream down an hour ago, but
I can wrap it up in 5 because let's go for 5 and then that's it.
Last thing.
Yeah, he's got kebabs to cook.
Exactly. Souvlaki.
People are interested in your stream. Where can they find you? What is your stream? What are you doing today?
Souvlaki is way better than kebab. Sorry.
I would agree, and not just because I'm Greek, but the stream. Yeah, so I'm new to starting to stream like on the regular. Every Sunday we do SOS radio. Tonight we're doing I'm not sure what it's going to be. Everyone's been asking me to do jabber sessions where I just jabber about stuff. I don't know why. Dave, Denise, and a few other people in the group there are always like, just jabber. So tonight's going to be I think I definitely want to go off about on the subject of semantics. And how it applies as being used as like a bizarre way of like shutting down a conversation, like saying we're getting semantics matter, dude. Semantics matter. So we're going to talk about why semantics matter and why it's got to stop being used as some sort of like argument from anyone that's an idiot. So we're going to talk about that. I'm thinking about going through my first solo album after like in 2021 and kind of just seeing the difference in the things I believe in now, because a lot of the things I wrote about on that album are hermetic. Like hermeticism, and it was like it's recorded in the way that SOS radio goes. So I think tonight we're going to be going into that album, not because I want to talk about me, but I want to go through the changes I've made in the last little while, like how the lyrics fit. I went through a lot of my lyrics with Father Turbo. Sorry, I'm rambling. And he's like, no, there's a lot of logos spermatico here. So and then one of my songs I released was Noose, but I wrote that when I was deep into hermeticism. But it just turns out if I replace the word the all with God, it's an Orthodox song. So I find that interesting. So I want to talk about that. Logo spermatico found from my perspective in my own music and semantics. But I might not even talk about the album. I don't know. People want to hear my music.
Just do whatever. Don't miss your job.
People are concerned about you. People are concerned.
I'll go in a minute. I'll go. What's going on here?
Just Mano, if it's possible for you to do it earlier, so I can be there.
Sure. I'm thinking of doing it 7 my time, which Central Standard Time in the US would be
late for
8.
him. He's over in Lebanon.
It's 4 a.m. here then.
Oh, you're in Lebanon. Like you're legitimately there. Yeah. Oh, well, sorry, but I can't help you there, man. I got to do dinner and stuff.
It's okay. I watch it. I rewatch it.
Well, quick question to everyone out there. Like, I'm confused as to what people want. Things that I think they don't want, they want. Like they want people like people just jabbering on live streams? Because that's what a lot of people.
What do you think we do here? We're just here to yap.
But is that what people want? Like that's what, because they're just keep like, what's your opinion on this? Let's just talk about this. I'm like, that's what you want, man? You want me to go through
people are thinking about stuff. They have questions. They want other perspectives. They want to chime in the chat and the thing about live streams, they're interactive. You don't know where they're going to end up, and people actually can help steer the ship because they ask a question and now the whole conversation's over there now. So
yeah, I mean, I'm also weird about talking about myself for whatever reason, even though I'm jabbering a lot today. I'm sorry. And they always wanted me to they're like, play your music. I'm like, I feel weird playing I feel like I'm play your videos. I'm like, really? You want me to do that? They're like, just jabber about shit. I was like, okay, I'm here for the jabber.
I feel like that. Like whenever I'm talking to people or just hanging out or entertaining people, it's like, tell us about yourself. Show us some of your stuff. Talk about what you want. And it's like, I'm here for y'all. I don't have a personality right now.
You got one. You got a personality. It's interesting for sure. Well, if you guys are around tonight, jump in. I might throw up some guests for sure. Well, probably. Mr. Westford will definitely be thrown up there, and we'll see if anyone else wants to jibber jabber with me tonight.
Oh yeah, no. If we're having a yapping session, I might have to try and show up.
That's what Logan does. That's what Logan does.
Let's do it. You know
yes, sir. That's why I'm the pig snake prattler.
I love it, and I'll engage you guys in the questions I have on some of the weird things I've been thinking about. How about that?
Yeah.
If I'm still awake, I might join too.
Okay. Cool.
Deep, I feel like a dad that's got a son.
or if I sleep and I wake up.
You need sleep, guy. You need sleep. All right,
At
boys and
least-
girls, I definitely gotta go. So hopefully I'll see you guys tonight, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time in the US. So I don't know what that is.
4
PST,
p.m.
EST,
Lebanon, if anyone's
all that
Lebanese.
stuff.
Central Standard fine for me.
Well, that's one other question, since I have everyone here. I'm thinking of doing some during the day, midweek, but also corresponding with my friends like Mr. Westford. So we're not doing it at the same time, but we somehow can join. It seems like a lot of people want midday streams. Is that true?
I have no clue. My stream log gets pretty clogged up because there are a lot of content creators.
Yeah.
Well, it's like it seems like you can try to fit in a slot where nobody else is there.
Yeah.
Or you can try to do like before or after, especially if you're like a smaller channel, like doing it after, so then people can send their people to you. So if you do it like if they're doing for this amount of time, then you kind of do a little bit of in between. But
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
also
thinking
you
about
have to consider your own schedule. Like I basically start right after I eat when I get home from work.
Okay, well, I'll send you a message. Well, I'm gonna figure something out. I'm thinking about doing Tuesdays and Thursdays. There's a couple of like live streams I want to do that people have asked for, like break down music scenes and then break down psyops with music stuff and some of the other things I've rambled about over my lifetime. So I might be doing that.
Are you in?
Sorry?
Are you in CST?
I am, but the thing is that we don't do daylight saving time in Mexico, so I'm still an hour behind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was gonna say around like 11 to 12 o'clock CST during the day. I usually don't see anything popping up. So
11 to 12 o'clock. Okay, I'll look into that. All right, cool.
The live stream.
The weird thing is, last night when David Patrick Harry was doing his live stream, I was in there, and then Dave, one of the guys that well, he's in not every chat group. He was here earlier. Dave was like, "Everyone go to Mano's." I'm like, "I'm not streaming tonight." He's like, raid, man. I was like, "Oh man, I should have done a live stream." It's like
that happened yesterday with me. Like I saw in Jim Bob's chat, I was watching the Jim Bob stream, and people were like, Westford's live. Everybody go there. I'm like, I am.
It's me. It's me. I'm sorry, but I have to take the credit. I start this. Sorry. I just
start
elevate
for me too.
to the highest mod level, please. Just elevate.
Here's what we do, Mano. Don't go to your job. Start streaming now, and we'll just all go to you right now.
Yeah,
I would consider. I am moving in that direction, guys. I am moving in that direction because people have. Yeah. So, anyways, I gotta go though. This time, I definitely gotta go because I don't even know if I have time to start the barbecue.
Yeah, your customers are that dish is not getting cooked in time.
All right, boys and girls, have a good one.
You too. Farewell, sir.
Adios.
Oh, I cut him off. He meant to say take it easy. I hope. That's my assumption, but maybe I can't hear you right now, man. You're in the green room. Well, I'd like to get going. I got stuff to get done. So, what do y'all want to say right before I kick you off?
If you guys want
Okay, Logan, your turn.
I've enjoyed yapping. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, everybody. Hope you have a good rest of your day. God bless America. Go shave your tummy.